5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, April the 18th, 2026, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board. If you could just let me know if the audio is working okay. I had a little snafu this morning, but I think I got it going again. Let's just see who's on board this morning. I see LN 330 is not only here, gets the ball rolling with a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. LN is aware that anybody who donates exactly $1.49 gets 1,000 Dugroz points. So here they are. Let me just get them out of my inhaler for you. There you go. There's your 1,000 Dugroz points. Thanks so much. And says, happy Saturday, all. FLX-NY is on board, as is 218 in the house. Good to see you. Juan from the MIA is on board. And I see John's Credit and Travel, who says something like 0 thumbs up. Really? What the heck, guys? Come on. I appreciate that, John. Way to be the monitor of thumbs upping. So if you would be kind enough to hit the thumbs up button, that drives more people in here to watch this. It's kind of a gloomy day here. I need more light coming in. Let me know if you want me to open the windows or anything. Vincent Pascal is here and celebrates 20 months of membership. 20. Ooh, way to go. Thank you for your loyalty, Vincent. Happy Saturday, everyone. Sleepy Rod's here and says, celebrate. A tier 50. DEM is on board, says I'm staying consistent. You know, most of the time when you say that, I'm like, nah, that's nothing to do with it. But this morning, that's all I'll say. Nuracan71 is on board. DEM says, on-call John is cranky. Okay. Some people saying hi to each other. And Yuri G is here. How you doing, Yuri? Lenora Wade, 9713. Don't think we've met, Lenora. Thanks for being a diehard. Good to see you. Luke from Luke's Points and Miles is here. Hey, Uncle Luke, how you doing? Good morning, everyone. I'll catch the beginning, but Little League starts today. Oh, fun. Stinky Monkey Baby, Norkmog, whatever that is. Nurcan, doing good. Let's see. John prefers Captain Thumbs Up. There we go. Thank you, Captain Thumbs Up. Travel, Earn, Repeat, TM Cowling. Got some more people saying hi to each other. All right. So 30 people on board. Go ahead and make comments, click thumbs up. That'll drive more people in here. But while we're waiting for more people to come on in, I will go ahead and start this morning the same way I start every morning, and that's with Dugroz data points. I'll just go around the world of points, miles, cash back, more, and tell you things I'm interested in. Our first data point is hat tip to the doctor of credit. Wells Fargo adds Wyndham as a 1-to-2 transfer partner, and this came out on April 15th, tax day. Happy tax day. Hope you all got your filings and or extensions in. So yeah, just like the headline says, Wells Fargo, making a splash, going to add Wyndham, but not just add them like Chase did, not just add them like Bilt did, but as a 1-to-2. So 1,000 points becomes 2,000. Although, as Matt Clausen always reminds us, Wells Fargo actually lets you transfer in any increment. So you could literally transfer 1 point and it would become 2. And that is the theme of the day today. So if you stick around to the second half of the show, I'm going to be talking about Wyndham. Is it better at 1-to-2? Is that worth considering? So hang in there and we'll get into those details about what can Wyndham do for you, so on and so forth. A couple comments to catch up on here. Oh, nope, not many. Yuri G says, my player 2 is approved for the Kroger card. Wells Fargo surprised us. I didn't realize. I thought you meant Wells Fargo issued the Kroger card. Okay, no, 2 separate thoughts. Congratulations on player 2 getting the Kroger card. And yes, they sure did surprise us. Riffraff EH says, yes, 1-to-2 at the Travelodge of Super 8. Laugh my artistic hat off. You know, I'll actually talk about that a little later. So hang in there, Riffraff. Maybe I'll say something that kind of pushes your buttons. TM says, who else could we realistically see Wells Fargo add that would excite us? You know, I still am waiting for the day when some issuer decides that a rental car company needs to be a transfer partner in a meaningful way. David Williams says, I got approved for the $500 Wescom Credit Union UCLA card after getting denied the Bank of America business card. Okay. Very cool. I don't know anything about Wescom Credit Union, but congrats. Luke says at 1 to 2, some of these Radissons in South America are a killer deal. And I think I agree with that. I'm going to have some examples for us, although maybe not that exact one. Sleepy Rod says Matt Clausen's been floating on Cloud 9 since this announcement, undoubtedly. When I saw it online, I went and shared it on the Discord. And I said something like Matt Clausen video coming in 543. And like within a minute of me typing that, he posted a link to a video he had just made on the subject. Excuse me. A little tickle in my throat there. New Again says, good morning, people. And Luke, too. Okay, well, good morning. 38 people on board. Keep on clicking that thumbs up button. I would appreciate it. You can also support me by dropping a super chat or super sticker. There's also a link to the tip jar if you want to use that. And speaking of tip jar, it's in the top line of the description box. Juan from the MIA hits the tip jar and drops a $3 tip. Celebrate. Thank you, Juan. The reason why you might want to do that is twofold. One is you can donate anonymously if you want, but also the tip jar only confiscates 2 or 3%, whereas YouTube confiscates 20, 30, 40%. So a higher percentage. But if you want to do it through YouTube, I don't mind. It's fun to have your name on the screen and that kind of stuff. All right, I'll keep going here with more Dugroz data points. Let's show my face, I suppose. There we go. All right, and my window disappeared. Hold on. Pictures for live stream. There we go. Hat tip Doctor of Credit. Chase offers up to 20% cash back at select Hyatt properties. So just check your Chase offer, see if you have up to 20% back at select Hyatt properties. Now, this seems to be targeted or at least vary by property. Most of them are like 7% off at a Hyatt Place or 10% on a Hyatt House or something like that. And the same back-end processing company that does these card-linked offers for Chase also does them for, I think, Wells Fargo and Bank of America. So if you have any of those, you might want to check those as well. Next data point, also hat tip Doctor of Credit. The Capital One, they have rebranded their Spark Miles and Spark Miles Select to now be called the Venture Business and Venture One business cards. So basically, they're just taking a page out of their consumer credit cards. So you've got your high-end one, Venture X for business, $400 card. Then you have your Venture Business, the $95 or $99 card. And then the Venture One Business is the no annual fee card. And they all have earning rates that are mostly commensurate with the consumer cards. Although I think the no annual fee one is actually, for whatever reason, 1.5 instead of 1.25. But just an interesting rebrand. I'm actually in favor of this, just keeping things consistent makes it easier to know what you're getting into. Catching up on comments, John drops a $2 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. And if you hold on just a second, I'm going to open my windows a little more because it's just so dark in here. I'm still here, I promise. If you're just now logging in, please don't leave. I do have some good stuff. As Krusty the Clown would say, we got some great toy commercials coming, so please don't leave. In addition to John, Nurcan drops a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Nurcan. Celebrate. I don't know that opening the windows really did anything. Oh, well, we'll roll with it. A-Tier loves the Kroger card. Congrats, Yuri. Sleepy Rod wants to know, are you going all in at Wells Fargo? I predict maybe not, since there's no easy way to accumulate points quickly and not as many sub opportunities. I'm still thinking that through here, to be honest with you. One thing Wells Fargo has going for them is that you can use it as cash back without any penalty. So if you earn 3x, you can just take it as cash. Also, they allow you to combine points with anyone for any reason, which I really appreciate. All issuers should do that. So I'm going to have to think that one through. Would I rather have this option with Wells Fargo at 1 to 2, over to Wyndham? Would I rather have Citi? I think right now I'd lean slightly Citi, but I might mix in some Wells Fargo. Right now, my wife is working on a sign-up bonus on her own Wells Fargo autograph card. Yuri has the Wells Fargo autograph journey and Attune. Good cards, though Attune is hard to use. You never know if it'll give you 4%. Okay, I hear you. Matt Lawson has arrived. Not quite Cloud 9, but Wells finally getting some respect. There's more coming. Wells is getting back in the game. Oh, yeah. Matt said something like, there's more transfer partners coming. I'm just not allowed to tell you about them yet. Proving that either Matt himself is the Wells Fargo mole or knows the Wells Fargo mole. One of the two. John says Wells just needs to add another airline. Who will it be? It should be Air Canada, in my opinion. A-Tier says the Attune is on our list in the future as well, for sure. Absolutely. Hey, we're up to 48 people. That's not too bad. Let's keep on clicking the thumbs up button here, but I'll go on to the next data point. This one is Hot Tip Doctor of Credit. Spirit Airlines to liquidate as early as this week, according to sources. Now, this was posted 2 days ago on the 16th. I don't know what's happened. I didn't read the details. I'm not into business, but if you've got a plane ticket on Spirit, you might want to be booking a backup flight. And I probably wouldn't be booking a Spirit flight more than about 3 weeks out, personally. Who knows what's going to happen with that, but they are obviously not in great shape. This next data point comes hat tip to superfan Mike Newland, who let me know that HEB, I'm pretty sure that's a grocery store in Texas and the South in general, has this pretty cool special going on right now. If you look in your HEB app, if you buy $50 in select gift cards, including Panda Express, Panera Bread, Chipotle, Uber, that's pretty handy, Lyft, Topgolf, you get a free HEB gift card. It must be included in the order. In-store only, expires April 28th. So yeah, check to see if you have that offer if you are an HEB user. That's the good thing about the Dugroz Reports community. We have lots of different data points, so you can always send them to me on Discord if you have them yourself. Now, a quick little personal story from me. Do you remember how my wife had a Hawaiian Airlines card back when you could transfer from Amex to Hawaiian over to Alaska, sort of backdooring into Alaska points. And I got that A, because it was a one-time sign-up bonus, B, that way we could share points unrestricted. But now that that back door is closed, I don't really need the Hawaiian Airlines card anymore. I don't fly Hawaiian or Alaska enough to really matter. But they had a really weird closing procedure, whereas most banks, if you call them within 30 days of your annual fee posting, they'll just refund it. The way they do it is they said you have to pay your annual fee, and then we'll close the card. And then in 30 days after that next statement close period, then you can call back and we'll mail you a check for it. Never got around to doing that. That was actually over Christmas break, like between Christmas and New Year's, that we called and canceled the card. And I was like, oh, I don't want to make my wife call a second time. How annoying. Well, good news. They just decided to close the card and mail her a check. Or it was already closed. They decided to just mail her a check. And that check has now arrived. And I just want to show you a picture of it because it's kind of funny, in my opinion. Here it is. I'll disappear for a second. So this is like, isn't this like the most generic card in the world? This is issued by Barclays, if you're wondering. It looks like somebody made it on their inkjet printer at home. Like, it doesn't even say Hawaiian Airlines, doesn't say Barclays or anything. I mean, the memo line was literally blank. I wrote card closeout just for my own reference, $99 refund. So I am glad, certainly, that we didn't have to call, but what a generic looking thing. Come on, Barclays, you can do better with your printed checks. Let's see. TM Cali says Aeroplan has to be a consideration for Wells Fargo. I agree. And then Latitude Natitude Guide donates 5 Dugroz Reports memberships. Whoa, way to go, Latitude Natitude. Just as good as a $15 super chat. Celebrate. I'll get into what my channel memberships are in a little bit, but that's super helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. New Again says, hot take, I'd rather have cash back and stay where I want than be stuck with Choice and Wyndham stays to get value. Okay, that's a fair point. The question is, there's always like a sliding scale where the lines cross of like, how much value above and beyond cash back would it take? I think I've got some examples that might make you say, at a bare minimum, I can see where you're coming from. Vincent also agrees with me that Air Canada should be a transfer partner for Wells Fargo. Yuri says, no, you don't have to pay the annual fee. I didn't pay them and everything was fine. Well, maybe I got a stupid phone agent or a particular phone agent, but that's what the lady on the phone told us. She said, I cannot refund it to your card. You have to pay the annual fee. She required me to do it right there on the phone and then said I can call back. Well, my wife and I can call back in 30 days and get a check mailed. That's what they told us. Obviously, your mileage may vary. Sleepy Rod says, why would Aeroplan be a good get for Wells Fargo since it wouldn't be able to use the pay yourself back feature since the points didn't come from Chase? Wells Fargo. Aeroplan has some good deals other than pay yourself back. Like Lufthansa, I donated some miles to help someone in my church fly to Peru, those kind of things. So, there are other good uses for Aeroplan too. A-tier says HEB has amazing coupons like that almost every week. Sometimes limit one, sometimes unlimited. Really great options for discounts. That's good to know. TM Cowling just got approved the Alaska Summit card. Celebrate. Awesome. Way to go, TM. Yuri SBU, the other Yuri, asked this question to Doug and everyone here. There's a 20% transfer bonus from Chase UR to Aeroplan. Is 20% the highest? Also, what are the usual percentage bonuses you are to Flying Blue, and how often do those come up? I'm not going to be able to help you with Flying Blue as much, but Aeroplan's kind of in my wheelhouse. Historically, 20% from Chase to Aeroplan has been the highest, yes, and it usually comes up about twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, so this is probably your opportunity. Of course, if you have the Aeroplan credit card, you also get a 10% built-in bonus if you transfer $50,000 or more. So what I like to do is wait for these bonuses, transfer the $50,000, get the 20 from Chase, the 10 from Aeroplan, that's 30, so which is like 1.3 cents per point. And then if you use Aeroplan's pay yourself back feature, that's 1.25. So 1.3 times 1.25 is 1.625. And that's how I functionally cash out my Chase points at 1.625 cents per point on a variety of travel things using the pay yourself back feature. They did run one not too long ago that was 25%, but you had to transfer a lot of points. I think it was 150,000. I actually ended up doing that, but it doesn't happen a lot. So in that case, it was like 1.68 cents per point or something like that. I'll let others speak to Flying Blue, although it seems like there are transfer bonuses fairly often. I don't know what the highest is. Yuri G used Aeroplan to book Lufthansa the first few times. It was great. Ian says, I'm sorry, I forgot. You can take my membership. I've failed. That's okay. I will give mercy and allow you to retain your membership, Ian. We are now over 50 people. Thank you. Keep on clicking thumbs up and commenting. And any little donation, no matter how small, helps drive that algorithm. Thank you. Oh, I hit a button. I hit the wrong button. Bear with me. I'm doing some stuff. Okay. LN says, I speculatively transferred 100,000 thank you points to Choice this week. Hopefully it all works out. Fingers crossed. Hey, way to go. I hope it works out for you too. I did some of that as well, and I'll get to that in just a few moments, so hang in there. Next Dugroz data point. This is this is kind of funny. Reminder, Citi is decreasing the transfer ratio on Choice Privileges and iPrefer on the 19th. That's tomorrow. So this ties in well with what LN just said. If you want to transfer to Choice or iPrefer, this is your last full day to do it. When they say expires 4/19, I don't know if that expires at 2 o'clock in the morning, noon, evening. So I would do it today rather than wait till tomorrow and risk it. Yuri G transferred 500,000 thank you points to iPrefer. I remember you said you were going to do that, so way to go. And in terms of actually doing it, I will go ahead and bring the receipts here. So in my case, I had, 110,000, 120,000, something like that on my Citi Strata Elite from the sign-up bonus plus spending. I also had another 30,000 points from other Citi cards, and you have to do this annoying call-in thing to get them to combine your points, which I haven't bothered to do yet. So I really have like 140,000. Anyhow, I took 23,000 of those and transferred over to Choice. So as you can see on the screen here, 23,000 on the City side becomes 46,000 on the Choice side, and that'll leave me with 92,000 from the CSE. Again, plus I've got about 30,000. So I'll have about 120,000 still when all this is done. And then to be a little more specific here in terms of showing the receipts, this is what my balance looked like. Oh, I showed this in the wrong order. I didn't have the build up. This is what my balance looked like before the transfer, 54,000. And in case you're wondering why I picked the amount I picked, because it ended up with 100,000. So I have a nice even 100,000 points over at Choice right now. Those 54,000 from before, I think I had actually purchased most of them when they were on sale for like 0.65 cents per point or something like that. So 100,000 points, if I get a 20,000 point hotel, I can get 5 in. If it's a 25,000 point hotel, I can get 4 in. That seems about right. That seems like a pretty good value. Sleepy Rod says, my inner rewards master just said, no, all city points should go to American Airlines, crying. Although he would allow you to occasionally send them to like Virgin or Flying Blue or something like that. Because as rewards master says, I don't use my points for hotels at all. It's all for airlines. Those points are super valuable. Grizzles G says, Yuri, are you still printing thank you points from the city custom cash after the future card nerf? Yuri says, yes, thank you. MasterCard is still the greatest card ever. Vincent Pascal says, Rewards Master would celebrate if AA had a one-off 1 to 2 thank you point transfer bonus. I have a feeling AA is going to be a lot like Hyatt. You ain't ever going to see a transfer bonus. Ellen agrees with Yuri about the wonderment of the thank you MasterCard, or whatever it's called. 65 people on board now. That's pretty good. Boy, I wish I could get my background to be lighter. Why is it so dark? Well, that's way to go, Doug. You just knocked your thing down. Hey, everybody want to look at my desk? There's my mouse. There's the soundboard. There's my Baby Yoda cup. Sorry about that. The wonderment of live TV. Actually, I think that is a little lighter. Oh, it's getting dark again. Oh, well. We'll keep going here. All right, next Dugroz data point. This is a Dugroz mea culpa. I apologize to the whole group. So last week, I gave this data point. There's an app called OKX, which is a crypto app. And there was this special, hat tip Doctor of Credit, purchase cryptocurrency and get up to $100 in crypto. You have to purchase $100 for 5 days. And this was on a specific crypto that had something to do with gold. It was tethered to the price of gold. And I thought, I don't care about crypto. I can always just sell right away. There is a little spread. I think it's like 1%, 2%, something like that. They charge. But the way it worked is you got $20 free in this gold crypto just by your first $100 purchase. And then if you purchased 5 consecutive days, you would get another $100 in free crypto. Well, this is where the whole read the fine print comes into play thing. So here was the initial screenshot. Buy $100 in XUAT and you every day for 5 days in a row, and you'll get a free XUAT $100. That's like a 20% return plus the $20 from when it started. And then I did that a 3 days in a row. And then when I went to do it the next day, the 4th day, it said all rewards have been claimed. You can still buy the crypto, but it'll no longer count towards the XUAT streak campaign. And I'm like, what? This seems like a total ripoff. What does that mean? So I went and read the terms and conditions, which were in fine print at the bottom. Take a look at that very first one here. This promotion's on a first come, first served basis, and a maximum of 1,500 eligible participants will each receive the reward. I'm like, come on, bro. So it was one of those things where you could start anywhere between this date and this date. So not everybody was starting at the same time, but functionally only the people that started on the first day or two actually were able to claim it. And the annoying thing about that is I was already 3 purchases in before I realized it. So there we've got 1, 2, 3. I sold out of some of it right away. 3 different purchases, and now I've got my money not trapped, but I can sell out. But it's like a 1% spread to sell it. So with the free $20 that I got, I'm going to end up moving $100 3 times, having a lot of hassle, and I think making like $9, maybe round up to $10. So not worth all that hassle for $10. So lesson learned on my part. Did anybody else fall for it? Sorry if you did it because of me. That's why people say always do your own research, channeling my inner sledge. Mike Newland stops by and drops 20, count them, 5, 10, 15, 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. Hey, look at that cool avatar. We got a Bilt card. We've got I think that's an Amex card and a blue card of some kind. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Mike. You are too generous. That's just as good as a $60 super chat. I appreciate it so much. Let me know if you got a free Mike Newland membership. It doesn't show it on my screen because I'm using StreamYard. Grizzle says, hey, Dugroz and everyone. By the way, did you change your avatar, your screen name? I seem to remember it being something slightly different. Anyhow, where was I? I agree with Rewards Master and only using thank you points for flights. I have 7 annual free night certificates for World of Hyatt, IHG, Marriott, and Hilton, and a hotel credit from Bilt/Citi/Chase/Amex. You know, I think there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it my way, you can do it your way, / the Rewards Master way. I think what you want to be really careful about is kind of mixing the 2 ways. And unfortunately, I've kind of fallen into that myself right now, where I have like 4 or 5 free night certificates. I have the credits I need to use on my US Bank Altitude Reserve. I have the credits I need to use on my Cities Strata Elite. Ugh, it's a little icky. So I'm just going to go full on Mr. Roz mode and just say, give me the points and get out of all those free night certificates. So since I travel with a net zero style where I don't have any money for my family budget, I have to cover it all from cashback bonuses, thank you points, Wells Fargo points, whatever. I do need to look for those reliable values, even if they're not epic values. Having said it, if you want to use money from your family budget for your roadside hotels, your airport hotels, your repositioning flights, more power to you. Nothing wrong with it. Just lean into a strategy and hit it hard. So I can see why you and Rewards Master wouldn't want to use any points for hotels like that. That's totally cool, but it doesn't really fit with my methodology. John says, Mike strikes again. Nurkan says, boom, Mike in the house. David Williams says this is regarding the OKX bonus. That stinks. I got that bonus a few days ago. LOL. Oh, David, you're one of the 1,500 people that prevented me from getting it. I'm kidding. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Mike looking around. Thank you again, Mike. And DEM says that's spicy. Sleepy Rod says, does YouTube take any commission from donated memberships? Yes, they do. But I'm still very happy to receive the donated memberships because, you know, some of the people that get donated memberships, whether they're from Mike or somebody else, do actually renew their membership. Most don't. But even if only like 3 out of every 20 do, that's really helping me build my channel up. So I'm totally cool with donated memberships. Let's see. I am JC in the Anthony Venture, not Venture Discord. I thought your YouTube name used to be different, but maybe I'm just remembering wrong. The hard part is when people donate things, I always try to thank them in Discord. But if your Discord username is dramatically different than your YouTube username, I don't always know who to thank. So I'll try my best to remember that one. If you ever make a donation and I forget to thank you, just say, hey, I'm this person. That spicy stinky monkey baby says hi. Mike noticed I'm very close to 3,000 subscribers. That's true. I think I'm at 2,990 or something like that. We'll have a little celebration when the day comes. Panda stays consistent, JC. Yes, as long as your avatar is the same. That's the most helpful thing. All right, we're up to 62 people on board. Keep on clicking that thumbs up button. And hopefully we can get that up over 80 by the time the main event starts. It's time for everyone's favorite food-related theme. It's Dugroz Eats, and the Dugroz Eats this week is the flame-grilled Whopper from Burger King. A couple reasons for that. One is I don't remember them having cardboard boxes in a very long time. It used to always just be wrapped up in paper, but I actually kind of like the cardboard box. It's a lot sturdier. You may notice in the background here, there's a towel. I often eat in my car just based on my schedule and how things work out. I'm eating lunch at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I keep an old towel in the back and put it on my lap when I'm eating in the car. I don't drive. I'll pull over into a parking lot or something because I'm kind of messy. So the box is actually helpful. It keeps it a lot flatter, and if you need to put condiments down for dipping purposes, it's a lot better than just a wrapper. Here's what it looks like once the box is open. So your ketchup goes right about here. Your ranch goes right about here. So hat tip to you, Burger King. Way to go. But the main reason I'm showing this is because I got a pretty good amount of cash back from Upside. Upside is an app that's most known for gas discounts, but it also has some dining discounts. Taco Bell and Burger King tend to show up quite a lot. I think it was like a $13, $14 item. So fast food's expensive nowadays. But getting $3.49 cash back is pretty awesome. If you want to help me out, you can use my link. I know there's truckloads and probably 80% of people already have Upside. But just use this code right here, Dugroz 8785. I didn't pick the 8785. They assigned that to me. And let's see, I'll get like $10 plus 10 cents on every dollar you use or get rewards or something like that. Or if you're watching this after the fact, you can just pause the video and use this QR code right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I would appreciate it. It gets me a few extra bucks. Another random data point here. Speaking of food, I went to a school play that my boys were in last weekend. It was on Friday night. And on the way home, I really wanted some food because I hadn't eaten yet. It was like 10 o'clock at night. It was 9:44. Well, you know what happens on Friday nights and Saturday nights? If you get caught eating lunch in New York City. Well, it's not lunch, it's supper. It's city nights. Have you ever seen those city nights? I think this is literally only the second time I've had a natural city nights purchase, like actual food, not strategic or something like that. Once was in Galveston when I ate at a combined Mexican/seafood restaurant. And then this random McDonald's in Des Moines where I got like 2 apple pies and a shake and something else. So yeah, just showing that city nights does actually work, even at McDonald's. It doesn't have to be for fancy restaurants. Let me pause right there, catch up on comments. Whoa, I missed a whole bunch of comments here. A whole bunch. Whew. Okay. Some people saying hi to each other, which I appreciate. Okay. DEM says Mike is going to hire a bot farm in Bangladesh to get Dugroz 100,000 subs. I don't know. Would that be good for me in the long run, or would my channel tank? That's pretty funny. Okay, New Again says, I agree, Doug. Figure out travel needs and go all in. Reject fear of missing out and all the look, it's a shiny thing hype. Thank you. I appreciate that. Got a couple fist bumps here. DM says, no Casey's Pizza. Mike is now the resident expert. Well, how did you know about that? It's like you read my mind or something. Yeah, I get way more Casey's Pizza than I do McDonald's, but I just thought I would show that one. Casey's Pizza. Okay, Vincent says, my friend shared a photo of Burger King receipt showing that his order number was order 66. Every once in a blue moon, I'll get order 66. I got it at Culver's, and I said to the guy, he's like, all right, your number is 66. And I was like, is that order 66? And this was like a teenager. He's like, yeah. And I said, execute order 66. There was this awkward pause. I said, do you know that reference? He's like, yeah, it's like a Star Wars thing. I'm like, it is. Yes. Okay, good. Grizzly says, I heard the new Whopper is really good and better tasting than the Big Arch. I haven't had a Big Arch, so I don't know about that. The new Whoppers doesn't seem that much different than the old Whopper to me, other than the buns maybe a little nicer. Now, I do have a members only video of me doing a taste test of a burger in the same style as the McDonald's CEO. So if you want to watch that, you have to be a Dugroz diehard, and I'll explain how to be one in just a few moments here. But let's move on to the next data point before we go too much further. These are actually from last week. I just totally missed an entire row. So I'm going to West Virginia and Pennsylvania in less than a week. and I booked my rental car through the US Bank Altitude Reserve travel portal. And one of my strategies was try to bring my balance exactly down to zero. I had a $30 credit on the card. I think it's just because my auto pay hit one day after I manually paid the annual fee. So I had a balance of negative $30. So I wanted to make it come out to exactly $30 more than what I needed. So I used a combination of points. Since they're worth a penny per point, and as of right now, there's no way to get more than a penny per point on US Bank points. So I just used enough to make the math work out exactly right. Sure enough, 4 days later, I got my $325 annual travel credit. So that would leave me with a balance of what, 2 cents? Well, there is a fun little thing. There it is, just proving that I had a balance of 2 cents. US Bank is one of the banks that does a small balance waiver, whereas if you have a statement balance of less than a certain amount, I think with US Bank it's $1, on your statement close date, they just waive it. So they gave me 2 cents for free. Na, 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 na. Just thought that was worth mentioning. The other thing I wanted to mention is a couple people have said to me suggestions such as I should look into rental cars through like corporate codes. I did look at my own company's corporate code. Unfortunately, my company does a really bad job of milking those benefits. Instead of having like a dedicated corporate code with any rental car company, they make you go through this one portal that's called like Reward Center, which is supposed to have like great deals with Hertz and great deals with National and that kind of stuff. But all it is like a 5 to 10% discount. Well, there's so many other ways to get 5 to 10% discounts. It's like, basically their 5 to 10% discount was still a lot more than going through the US Bank. And the reason this all came up is because I found out well after I booked the trip, and part of it's non-refundable because I used my CSE annual hotel credits from last year, City Strata Elite, so I can't change it or I lose that credit. I'm locked into specific dates. I'm flying into Pittsburgh on the same weekend as the NFL draft, which is happening in Pittsburgh. And hotels in downtown Pittsburgh are like $800 to $1,000 a night. Now, fortunately, I'm driving to Wheeling, West Virginia, and later Morgantown, West Virginia, which are like an hour and a half away. And far enough away, it doesn't have that problem. But my rental car is not exempt because there's a lot of competition for rental cars. So I booked it early enough. I got in at $355 plus a little bit from points. I think like $370, $380, something like that for 5 nights or 4 nights and a portion of a fifth, which is not great. Usually I like to get around $200, $250, but the prices have just kept going up. So normally I check back on rental cars, see if I can get a better deal. Not even Auto Slash is finding a better deal. Some people have said, here, use my company's code, or here's a code for some, let's say you work for Knights of Columbus or something. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I just did some research and read some horror stories of people that are like, I used a corporate code that's not my own. And the people said 99% chance that they don't even ask to see proof, but this was the 1% chance. They demanded they see my company ID. And when I couldn't show it, they charged me the full rack rate, which is like way more expensive than it would have been if I'd just gone through a portal. And there was even 1 or 2 people who said, I used a corporate code for a company that I didn't belong to, and I got in a car accident, and the insurance company refused to pay the insurance bill, and they literally had to hire a lawyer and go to court. And they did eventually settle with them on an amount that was okay, but they put it on their CSR, and Chase refused to pay, basically saying, you used a fraudulent code, we're not going to cover this. So they had to go to their regular car insurance, who first refused, then get a lawyer involved. And it's like, man, I don't want to risk all that hassle to save $100. So thank you so much to those of you who offered a corporate code or a suggestion to use a code for a company I don't belong to. I ultimately decided I'm just going to be happy with this okay rate that I got through US Bank. Let's see, is that the end of a thought process? It is. I'm way behind on comments now. 57 people on board. Thank you so much. Grizzly says Skrill is greater than future. Okay. DEM says, Doug, I made another Rove purchase and have a few more coming, so you should see more points coming soon. Celebrate. Thank you, DEM. I really appreciate that. That's a great way to support me. So what he's referencing is, if you look in the description box, I do have a Rove refer a friend link. And it's something like, I don't remember exactly what it is. When you sign up, you get 500 points, I get 500 points, and then I get 10% of whatever you earn for the first 3 or 4 months. So DEM used my link. I got some points from him already, and I'm going to be getting a few more. So I'm excited for that. Thank you so much. Tampa Travel drops the $1.49 super sticker. Thank you so much. Let me get you some points. Got them right here in this pill bottle. There you go. 1,000 points. Way to go, Tampa Travel. Don't spend it all in one place. Dugroz points are super valuable. Grizzle says, did you enjoy the finest brown water in Galveston? I did enjoy Galveston, but not because of or in spite of the brown water, because of the lighthouse and the ferry and the George Bush grave and those kind of things. Mike Newland talks about Dugroz and his sweet tooth. It's true. I have a severe one. The Strand is pretty cool, though. I don't know what the Strand is. Sorry. Tio Rico's on board. Howdy. How you doing? And let's see. I'm going to skip a few of the conversations that are just about future and that obscure city card and those kind of things. Yuri BSU says, regarding the Burger King Whopper in a box, I heard a podcast with the Burger King CEO. It's because customers complain paper wrap misshaping the burger in the takeout bag. Oh, well, that makes sense, but it also works well for your condiments. Vincent said, I taste tested a burger at Jack in the Box's corporate offices years ago. The waiting room had portraits of food and TV sets to Food Network. A woman with a German accent and a white lab coat escorted us. That's funny. Did they make it look way better than it actually would if you got it at a Jack in the Box? Tampa Travel says primary collision damage waiver can be voided if you use a corporate code on a rental car. Oh, there you go. What if it's your own company? Like I work for, I'm making this up, John Deere, and John Deere has a corporate code that like they say, hey, any employee can use this, doesn't have to be business travel, 20% off. Would that happen? New Again says facts, big pro tip there. Yuri G points out there's still no transfer partners from U.S. Bank. My U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve annual fees coming next month. I'll try to get the retention bonus. Godspeed. Hope that works out for you. Latitude says, Big Arch, blah. I've had better burgers at 2 a.m. from sketchy food trailers in Rio while being accosted by ladies plying their wares. Undoubtedly, you're talking about ladies selling rugs and blankets and those kind of things. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't think I would like the Big Arch the way it looks. Grizzle says, QPC is still the best McDonald's burger, in my opinion. QPC, quarter pounder with cheese. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I agree. No mustard, no onion. Sometimes those are downright gourmet. New Again says, I'm telling you, car rental discounts and promo cards are bizarre and arcane dark art. I also personally had a bad experience with one, ironically enough, in Pittsburgh 5 years ago, back during the COVID pandemic. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. It's just through the U.S. Bank portal. There's no weird corporate codes. Yuri's had his U.S. bar since 2017. That's 3 years longer than I have. Hey, 58 people on board. I think we cleared 60 and then dropped back down. So let's keep her going here. Maybe people don't like the data points. They want me to get into the main event, but some people love the data points. So we're gonna do it anyway. Next data point here. This is Hat Tip Doctor of Credit. PayPal rewards. Make 2 to 3 purchases of $40 or $50, earn 1,500 to 2,000 points, and those are worth a penny each. So we're talking 15 to 20 bucks. So I wasn't targeted for this. Check your PayPal app to see if you're targeted. You might be able to use PayPal to make a few purchases and get some easy peasy cash back, even if you're not, earning any credit card rewards. If you think about it this way, the highest one is $50. Take that times 3, you got 150 bucks. And then if you get 1,500 points back, it's $15 divided into 150. That'd be 10% equivalent. That's not too bad. Next Dugroz data point here. So I opened a new U.S. Bank triple cash rewards not too long ago and have the thing I've complained about with U.S. Bank for quite a while. So notice down here it says learn how to view and pay. This card's balance due rolls over monthly to a central billing account, which is where you make payments. So U.S. Bank's business cards have this weird thing where sometimes, not always, instead of being tied into your personal login, you have to set up a whole separate login just to pay your business card. But unlike Chase, where you can see your personal cards and your business login, you can only see that one card because it's like a per business thing. Now, this is actually my 4th US Bank business card. I've had the triple cash 2 previous times. I had the State Farm business card and now the triple cash again. It was actually triple cash, State Farm, triple cash, triple cash. On the first 2, the first triple cash and the State Farm, they forced me into having my own separate login. So I actually have those 3 logins, my personal plus the 2 from these old closed cards. On the third one, when I applied, they asked me, like, do you think you'll be mostly using this as like an individual or a corporation? I was like, individual. So they just put it directly on my personal login. This one, they didn't. They did the whole, you have to have a separate login thing again. And what's annoying and frustrating about that is that it'll tell you you literally can't pay your bill on your personal login. You have to go to your business profile. Good news, though, this time they actually let me change it over the phone. So I called in and the US Bank rep said something like, well, yeah, we can shift this over to an individual login. I wasn't confident because she was like speaking in a really mousy monotone voice, like, yeah, we can change this to an individual billing if you want. And she told me it'll take, up to 1 full statement cycle, so I may not see it right away. But the good news is it only took about a week to 10 days, and now I can pay it through my individual login. But such a weird thing. You got to figure out some better way to make it super obvious when you're applying. I'm pretty sure they didn't even ask me. Just like, hey, do you want your billing to be on your individual login, or do you want to create a whole separate login? Now, I understand that, like, if you had an actual small business with like 50 employees and you're the CEO and you have your own individual card, you don't want to be paying the bill. You've got an accountant or a CFO or a CPA or someone who does that for you. So they have the central billing account. You're just making purchases. But for a sole prop or a business, it's just super annoying. Next Dugroz data point here. There was kind of a drama I had with a bank account bonus through Wings Federal Credit Union, where you had to open the account, you had to make so many direct deposits and so many debit card purchases within a certain amount of times. And I don't know if I read it wrong or what, but I thought I had longer than I had. So they sent me this email back and said, you're not going to get your bonus because your account opened on 11/28 and your final day to meet the requirements was Tuesday, January 27th. It's a hard 60 days. You did not meet the direct deposit requirement or debit card requirement within 60 days. By January 27th, you had only deposited $2,010 and you needed to deposit $3,000. And your first 5 qualifying debit card purchase was on February 3rd. Due to this, you will not be paid a promo bonus. So I wrote him back and said something like, your website was super confusing. It made it sound like the bonus is paid on March 13th, so you have until March 13th. And I haven't heard back yet what they're going to say. I said, like, would you honor it anyway? There's some mixed data points. Some people say if you beg really nicely, they'll still give it to you. But if they don't, I'm out $300. Honestly, I wouldn't have signed up for Wings Federal Credit Union if it wasn't for that sign-up bonus. I'm going to look through my screenshots. If I did take screenshots and it was confusing, I'll file a consumer report with the credit protection, whatever bureau, or the comptroller Atkins, and see if they do anything. But every once in a while I get these bank account bonuses where they are boogers. And I guess I should expect this. They go with the very literal terms and conditions, not necessarily what's showing on the big splash screen where you first log into their website. Similar to OKC. Oh yeah, here's what I wrote back. The terms gave me the impression you had to meet the requirements by 3/13. Since I did meet all the requirements before the award date, well exceeding the direct deposit requirements and the 5+ debit transactions, I just didn't do it within 60 days. I request that the bonus be honored anyway as a courtesy and show of good faith. Is that something Wings is willing to do to preserve my banking relationship? What do you think? Will they honor it or will they tell me to go pound sand? My guess is they're going to tell me to go pound sand, but this is one of those doesn't hurt to ask type things. I will follow up when I know what they're going to say. Grizzles asked this question. What card do you use for car rentals? I'm debating between the Ritz or Amex Green plus Amex Premium Insurance for $20. CSR is out of the picture at 1x. In this case, obviously I use the US Bank Altitude Reserve. I don't know. I used to always use the USBR. It was just a perfect synergy with the 1.5 cents per point, the primary collision damage waiver, the fact that you can use your credit either whole or in part on it. It just had this kind of looping thing on it. The fact that you double dipped because you could go through any car rental, you didn't have to use their portal, but obviously that's not the case anymore. I did end up using USBIR on this one. If I'm outside the United States, I'll use my Aeroplan card and boom, pay myself back. But that's only primary collision damage waiver outside the United States, not within the United States. I'm going to be upgrading to the Ritz card if it's still around come late summer. So that'll probably be my new car rental card, but I can't really say for sure. I've got options. I've also done it on the Venture X a couple times because it's only 2 points per dollar, but at least it has the CDW, and I'm not going to freak out over it too much. Honestly, I hear what you're saying. CSR only gets 1x, and that is kind of lame, but like, how many points are you earning from car rentals in a year? I don't view travel as an opportunity to earn points, although I do. I just don't like fuss over it. I view travel as the redemption, not the earning strategy. David William points out that the PayPal offer also has an enrollment limit, so use caution there. Vincent was talking about his Jack in the Box burger taste test 20 years ago. It didn't look gourmet, but it was more presentable than what you see in an actual restaurant. The burger was delicious. They told us that whatever we don't finish, we have to throw away because a lot of people are going to put it in their pocket, take home, and reverse engineer it and then sell it to Hardee's, I suppose, is their thought process. Ian says, I'm a data point lover. I feel asleep, but I'm back. Studio TK drops a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate, celebrate. He has earned 1,000 Dugroz points. Let me get it out of the calendar here. There you go. There's your 1,000 Dugroz points. Don't spend it all in one place. Solid Liquid Fox says the Citi AA business card also forces you to have a separate login. Boo. Vincent says, my first U.S. bank might be my existing Amex Amazon Business Prime when it moves over in August. Oh, yeah. U.S. Bank is taking over the Amex, well, what used to be the Amex Amazon Business Card. That's weird to me. Like, I'm afraid U.S. Bank's getting in over their head, but time will tell. I mentioned earlier that I will go over how you can support my channel, and I'm going to do that right now. Well, first of all, you can join as a Dugroz diehard. It's only $3 a month. Cancel anytime. Just look for that blue join button on any of my videos. Click it. If you do it on this particular video while the live stream's going, we'll have a little celebration together. I do have over 65 members only videos, and you can always sign up, binge all of them after a month or two, cancel. I won't be offended. But if you want to see videos like this, and if you want to see me tasting a burger, you have to become a channel member to do so. Another way you can support me is through the aforementioned tip jar. Just check the first link in the description box. That way you can support me without any of the commission going to YouTube. Kind of bypasses all that. You can also support me by getting a good night of sleep. And if you're wondering, how does that support me? Well, the mattress on screen right now, the Sparrow Signature Hybrid from Nest Bedding, is my favorite mattress. My wife and I have slept on it for over 6 years. Here's a video I did 5.5 years ago when I had less gray hair in my beard. There's a link to that in the description box. So if you go out and watch that, supports the channel. This mattress has a lifetime renewal exchange, meaning you can swap out the top layer for free once in a lifetime. And it has a zipper, unlike being sewed in like most mattresses. That's pretty awesome. 365-night risk-free trial, lifetime warranty. I think it's the bomb. And if you want to find out more about it, just check that link down in the description box. Here's a newer video that I did. And there's also a link to the mattress itself. If you use that, I get a 2 or 3% commission. By the way, just watching the video helps me out. So if you're watching this after the fact, not those of you in the live, but everybody watching this after the fact, if you would be kind enough, just pause the video, go watch that. It's only like 3 minutes long, and then come back. That tells the affiliates that, hey, he means business. So just watch it. Even if you don't care about getting a new mattress, that helps me out. Thank you. All right, moving on with more Dugroz data points. Hat tip to Doctor of Credit. There is a targeted Amex offer. It's on Hilton. If you spend $300 or more, you receive a $60 statement credit. Not something I'm planning on using. I've got lots of Hilton points, but if you're a just pay cash kind of person, that's pretty good. That's like a 20% rebate right there. So it is limited to only certain Hiltons. It's not every Hilton, so you can't do it on like 5 nights at a Hampton Inn. But I think like Hilton by Hilton brand, maybe Conrad's, maybe some others. So check that out to see if you're targeted. I didn't have time to look this morning to see if I am or am not. Studio TK says, I'm on my first RIP trip to Denver thanks to Path. Awesome. that was a series of videos I did, the path method for points and miles. So I'm glad that helped you out. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff has changed since I made those videos, so I never even bothered to make the last one. I might do it as an unlisted video just because I'm ashamed. So you have to use playlists to see how that ends. I haven't done it yet, but maybe someday I will. Have a great time in Denver, Studio TK. I hope that works out well for you. Somebody else kind of gave it away, but Mike Newland did something kind of fun. He went to a Casey's for the first time, sent me some pictures of his adventure. Looks like a Casey's indeed. They bought out some other chain of gas stations down in Texas. And if I understood correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike. You were traveling for work. You drove past it, drove like an hour. And then like the next day, you wanted to check it out so badly, you drove an hour out of your way just to go back. That is dedication. So that's his picture of the pizza warmer. You don't have to order it and wait. It's just in a warmer. You just take it out, put in one of these little plastic things, optionally, and then eat it. There it is. There it is in the little plastic container. And if you wonder what Mike Newland's wrist looks like, now you know. I believe that was a beef pizza, which is my personal favorite. If I'm only getting one topping and not breakfast, I like beef. It's basically just little chunks of beef. It's kind of like sausage, but milder. And Mike, you can let us know what you thought, but I think he was a fan. So did you redeem any Dugroz points or did you just pay cash? Well, let us know. Mike says, how does Altitude Reserve's real-time mobile rewards redemption interact with mobile wallet purchases that later get partially refunded or split tendered? And what's the optimal strategy? So as far as I can tell, it doesn't matter if it's mobile wallet or just using the card itself. Either will trigger it, and it keys off of the original purchase. So like, let's say you have a $200 rental car and they put a $300 hold on it, so it's a temporary charge of $500. It keys off that $500. So even if later they refund it, even if later they split tender it, those kind of things, you'll still get to keep the real-time rewards you use keyed off that $500. Now, obviously, that was a lot more exciting when it was 1.5 cents per point. When I mentioned the possibility of using real-time, when I mentioned the possibility of using the Ritz card to do a rental car, Sleepy Rod says, but you're earning Marriott points with the Ritz. Yeah, not that valuable. But am I really going to, really get worked up about how many points I'm earning on a $300 rental car? I guess if I was renting cars all the time, maybe, but 3 or 4 or 5 a year, just don't sweat it. Studio TK says the same thing I did. It only triggers the initial charge, not the settled or refunds. New Again says, US Bank is so wildly inconsistent with goofy, mediocre tech, hard to advise anything. Yeah, I hear you there. Now, I've never had problems with real-time rewards myself. I know other people have. I'm holding the globe. Got just a few more data points here. Let's see what we got. So this is hat tip to Loyalty Lobby. And they let us know that if you used Booking.com not too long ago, it was hacked and customer and reservation information leaked. And more specifically, it says that Booking is a Dutch company that operates brands including Priceline, Agoda, Kayak, and then Booking.com itself. And of course, they sent out an email to everyone that's impacted. It's like, here at Booking.com, we take cybersecurity very seriously. And it's like, apparently you don't, because you only take it seriously enough to report it once it's already happened, which I guess maybe a little bit of credit for at least reporting it, not keeping it hidden. But you know what would be better? Not letting your site get hacked in the first place. So hire some people like John R. to work on your cybersecurity team. So I don't think it had social security numbers, but it did have like your exact reservation details. So if you want some cyber criminal to know you're staying in Pittsburgh on April 26th, now they get to know it, and they know your phone numbers and maybe even your home address and your email and those kind of things. So that kind of stinks. You might want to double check for an email, because I think they gave you a new reservation PIN number if you were impacted by that. Here's a personal question that I asked, not a personal question, but something I personally put on the Venture Discord. I did a points plus cash booking, which I know on the back end is really just buying more points through IHG. The pending charge showed on my credit card, which is my Aeroplan card, as expected, but 5 or 6 days later, the charge simply disappeared from my credit card. It's not pending and nothing. Is this normal? I know sometimes with regular bookings that can happen, then they rerun the charge at check-in, but since I'm technically just buying points, it seems odd The terms clearly say if I cancel, I only get points back, not a refund. There were a couple people that replied, and one person said, yeah, that's just how it works with IHG for some reason. Then the final charge will go through on the date of your stay. What's weird is if I cancel the stay, I still keep the point. So it's not like they're going to refund me. So why did the charge go away? If anybody's ever had that happen and you can either reassure me or give some sort of insight on that, let me know. I'm assuming it will be charged eventually. I do realize I did kind of a dumb thing using my Aeroplan card. Since I'm buying points, it didn't go through IHG, so I won't be able to pay myself back. Probably. Unless anybody knows, if you do a points plus cash booking, does it show up as an IHG purchase or a points.com purchase? We'll find out, and I'll report back once I know. Starting to lose my voice here a little bit. Let's see. Hold on. I did something dumb here. My next data point, I accidentally showed a confirmation number, which I don't want to. So let me get that out of there, and then I'll reshare it. Okay, there we go. When I go to West Virginia this coming weekend, in fact, I think 1 week from tomorrow, I'll be doing a guided tour of a Frank Lloyd Wright house called Falling Water, which is in southern Pennsylvania. I really liked visiting the Frank Lloyd Wright house in Springfield, Illinois. So I'm going to do another one here. It was like, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks, something like that. And I love guided tours. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago in my live stream, my things I've changed my mind about. I asked AI, is this going to code as travel or is this going to code as something else? And AI said, well, we don't know for sure, but we think it's probably going to code as something like a nonprofit or a museum or something like that. So I wasn't too particular about what I paid for it with. It was just used a card I had in my mobile wallet or something like that. Put it on my City Strata Elite. At least I got 1.5 points on City. Sure enough, there it is, $44. Coded as a charitable social organization. So no, it did not code as travel. So I only got the standard 1.5 cents per point. But again, it's travel. I'm not going to worry about, whether I made 1.5 or 2 cents per point. So took a risk, didn't pan out. If you're wondering, if you ever go to Falling Water or a similar place, it's not going to code as travel. Whoop, whoop. Studio TK says, I cleared out my US Bank rewards by charging a flight, redeeming the RTR text, and canceling the flight the next day. I did something kind of similar. And that's another Dugroz Reports members only video, a Dugroz diehard video. So if you want to see how I did that, become a channel member. New Again says US Bank business card points can only be redeemed for cash into a US Bank business bank account. US Bank personal bank accounts don't count. LOL. Well, that stinks. I can use it for a statement credit and it's not too big of a deal. Hopefully transfer partners will come. Hello, US Bank, are you listening? Transfer partners. Next Dugroz data point here. This is from my accountant. He said, hello, Doug. Thank you for working with Sally on your return. She was able to get you to file. You will owe $2,226 in federal taxes, but you'll be getting a $1,159 refund. This is kind of an interesting moment for me because I have never actually paid into taxes before. And isn't it weird that I was actually kind of excited? I owe the taxes one way or another. It has to do with the year in which your youngest child turns 17, you no longer get the child tax credit. So that he warned me about 3 months ago that might happen. So my first chance to ever pay my taxes with a credit card. So I did in fact do that. I went to the Pay 1099 site, put it on the aforementioned US Bank triple cash business where I need to get $6,000 spend for $750 back. And I think I either just hit it or I'm now very close to hitting that sign-up bonus by paying my federal taxes. By the way, that could be a strategy if I did this by accident, but if you wanted to, you could make it so that you have high withholdings on your state, but not federal. So they kind of cancel each other out. So on a net basis, it's about the same amount, but you can put some on your credit card. Or you could not have anything withheld and then put it all on your credit card at the end of the year. Of course, I work a normal 9-to-5 W-2 job. If you're self-employed, none of that's really a choice. Let's take just a few moments here to thank the diehards. I haven't done that in quite a long time. Anybody that has made 12 months or more. Some of these might be a repeat because I don't remember where I left off, but I'll go ahead and thank everyone that is now over 12 months. Texas Dog, Dad on a Mission, Gold Homer, Source King, Samuel Benton, Ron Byrne, and LN330 on the first page. They're anywhere from 14 to 16 months. And I know there's some people that are way over this, but of the people that I haven't thanked yet who have cleared 12 months is what I'm referencing. This is basically celebrating your 12-month anniversary. In addition, we have Out West Fath, Tim Thompson, Mike Newland, Noob Pants, ANAC 6996, TM Cowling, Ella Fencing, RemGB, and Matt Heron. Thank you to all those diehards who have now been a part of the channel for 12 months. All I can say is celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, everyone. We already went over that. Mike Newland says, I got the City AA business card about a month ago just to pay my taxes on and hit the sign-up bonus for $75K. Awesome. You must owe a little bit more than I did in taxes then. All right, that takes us to the end of the Dugroz data points. So we will now do our theme of the day. But before I do my theme of the day, first of all, I'm getting a little hoarse, so I probably need to get the microphone a little closer, talk a little more quietly so I don't ruin my voice here. We are going to take a break, and I sometimes call this the bathroom break. I sometimes call it the biology break, sometimes just intermission, but you will get to listen to some copyright-free music. And while you do, I'll be gone for about 3 minutes, but I will come back, so stay tuned. If you want a topic to discuss, how about we talk about any tax-paying strategies that you either have done or want to do as it relates to points and miles. And today, you will get to learn a little bit more about a RIP trip. You've often heard me talk about RIP trips, but if you're a touch on the newer side, you might not know exactly what that means. So enjoy this copyright-free music while you get to learn about what a RIP trip is. See you in 3 minutes.
What's a RIP trip? Let me break this down. Turn them points to a passport out of town. Swipe real smart, watch the prices fall. Turn every little purchase to a boarding call. Started with a sign-up bonus. Minimum spend, yeah, we stay focused. Hit that threshold right on time. Now my statement looking like a gold mine. Transfer partners, portal page, turning groceries into a Hilton. Domestic flight to a beach somewhere. Only paid taxes just to get me there. Racking up the points every time that I tap. Pizza, gas bills, all part of the map. Scrolling through the app, see the balance climb high. Think it's just plastic? Watch this card make you fly. R stands for rental, that's a car. To get you where you want to go. I stands for in, like a hotel. You gotta sleep, bro. P is for plane, pick an airline. Pick a good one, yo. So that's a RIP trip, and now you know. So you're good to go. Airport lounge with a plate full of snacks. Did it on points, not breaking my stacks. TSA pre-check, skip right past. My seat's free. How about you? Checking in soon, got a room with a view. Welcome points waiting, yeah, that's value. Free night cert, that's another stay locked. Hotel sandwich, pay myself back. From Des Moines to the capital. From the waterfall to the marble hall. Every dollar that I did turned to take off real soon. No flex, it's a framework. Play the game, let the game work. This is travel on a cheat code. Welcome to RIP trip mode. R stands for rental, that's a card to get you where you want to go. I stands for in, like a hotel. You gotta sleep, bro. P is for plane, pick an airline. Pick a good one, yo. So that's a RIP trip, and now you know. So you're good to go. Run up the miles, let the points stack high. Turn your 9 to 5 spend to the friendly sky. From the couch with the laptop, booking every seat. Watch the price tags drop while the trip stays sweet. No debt, paying full, that's the real flex move. Discipline in the wallet while the flights improve. Turning subs to a cashback stream. This is real life math, not a daydream. RIP, that's the code to the gate. R for the road where the rentals wait. I for the inns where you crash for free. P for the plane taking off with me. RIP, put the world on sale. Swipe that card, make a travel tale. RIP trip, yeah, the system's cracked. If you know, then you know, get your suitcase packed. R stands for rental, that's a car to get you where you wanna go. I stands for in, like a hotel. You gotta sleep, bro. P is for plane, pick an airline. on, yo. So that's a rip trip, and now you know. So you're good to go. What's a rip trip? Now you see how to travel this globe almost for free. Read the fine print, play the long game right. Turn every little swipe to $6 flight.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you, everybody who hung in there for a little bit. See if there's any comments I need to catch up on here. 63 people on board. Thank you. Click the like button if you have not yet done so. Here we go. Let's see. Yep. New again asked this. Would you rather do the U.S. Bank Business Altitude Connect sub for 75,000 points at 6K spend or the Wells Fargo Autograph 60K points for 4K spend? Ooh. I assume you mean the autograph journey because the autograph itself is only 20. That's a great question, and I honestly don't know. Probably Wells Fargo autograph because at least I know transfer partners exist. Autograph journey. Hey, I read your mind. LN330 is enjoying the song. Yuri G is too. Sleepy Rat said, I'd like to see a video collab between Dugroz and Nick and or Greg from Frequent Miler. I would like to too, but do you know how many YouTubers would say the exact same thing? I'm probably about 743rd in line. I did send them a copy of my City Nights theme song, and Greg said something like, haha, that's funny. Didn't think they're probably going to be using it on their show, though. Green Knights likes the song. Nurakan says, MC Roz. Juan says, the Rip Rap song is fire. Don Kim likes it too. How you doing, Don? Thanks for being on board. Sleepy Rod says the Kugelos flow. Ian thinks it's fire. Ian thinks it's the best song yet. Yuri G wants to know the source of that song. So I actually wrote the chorus myself. If you want to look through some of my really old videos back around 2001, 2002, 21, 22, you can hear me rapping live in the flesh. So I just uploaded that song into Suno and asked it to do AI generated for the voice, the sound effects, and that kind of stuff. Yuri says, Greg has cited me a few times. Yep, but I don't think they're going to invite me on the show. New Again says, critics were really tough on little known but critically acclaimed music composer Maestro Dugroz's rhyming song. His retort was always, your kids are going to love it. Yep. This was written back in the 60s. Ian says, FM team's going to be at Chai Sim this year. If you go, I'm sure you can conduct a remote interview. We'll see. What are the dates on that? Do you have that handy? All right, 67 people on board. Thank you so much. If you've stayed on board, go ahead and click the thumbs up button, and we'll go ahead and get back into the main event here in just a second. Well, really right about now. Sometimes I present this as a standalone, so you might hear me pause, use my inhaler, blow my nose, take a drink, kind of that kind of thing, and then I'll get into it. So give me just a second. Oh, come on, nose. Stop being dumb. There we go. 5, 4, 3. The theme of the day, Wells Fargo to Wyndham, better at 1-2. So we all know the news, or at least you probably do by now, but just in case you don't, let's review what it is. So hat tip to Doctor of Credit. Wells Fargo is adding Wyndham as a 1-2 transfer partner. That was announced on April 15th. So you can now transfer 1,000 Wells Fargo points to 2,000 Wyndham points, which makes them extra valuable. What is Wyndham? You probably know this, but in the event you don't, Wyndham is a chain of hotels. Now, the pictures on the left, I've only stayed at one Wyndham ever, at least since I got into Points and Miles. Well, I take that back. I stayed at 2 ever. One was a Days Inn, but that was kind of an emergency situation way up in northern Wisconsin when our cabin lost electricity. But the only one that I've stayed in that was like I sought it out was a Wingate, which is one of the groups right here. Very plain, very ordinary, right next to the St. Louis airport, just sort of a fly-in, go-to-bed type place. And that's what you see in the pictures here. So some of the Wyndham hotels are Ramadas, Wingates, Days Inn, Microtel, Travel Lodge, Howard Johnson, Super 8, Baymont, Nights Inn. Actually, this is an older picture. Wyndham sold Nights Inn to another group back around 2017, 2018. So here's a more recent picture, but lest you only think about those low-end ones like Microtel, Days Inn, Super 8, Travelodge, Hojo. There's a whole lot more to Wyndham than that. And I know that lowest tier kind of makes them get a bad rap, but just remember there are a variety of options. If you go up to the mid-scale, you'll find Baymont, and it's kind of hard to think of that as mid-scale, but sometimes it is. Wingate, Wyndham Garden Inn, Hawthorne Extended Stays, La Quinta, American. Oh, that's right. I stayed at American while doing my points mattress run to look at foliage last year. So I guess I've stayed at 3 different Wyndham properties in my points and miles days. I've never heard of Trip by Wyndham or Splendor or Dazzler. I have heard of TM Trademark Collection. That's actually one of them we're going to have an example of. You've also got Wyndham by Wyndham, Dulce, and Wyndham Grand for Distinctive, which is apparently more upscale than upscale. So you do have a lot of options with how it goes. So what is the uniqueness here? Wyndham is already a transfer partner of Chase City, Capital One, and Bilt. Chase and Bilt being fairly recent, but all of those only transfer on a one-to-one basis. Wyndham is one of very few hotel loyalty programs that still uses an award chart. It's a 3-tier system where award nights cost either $7,500, $15,000, or $30,000 points. Now, fair warning, the 7,500s are usually going to be like the travel lodges, the Days Inn, and usually not in the best part of town. So I didn't find a single working example of the 7,500 Wyndham Point property. The ones I've stayed at have, I think, all been the 15,000 variety. And then some of the more decent ones are up around 30,000 points. There is no dynamic pricing. There's no blackout dates. The fixed structure makes it unique. And to be a little more specific, when I say there are no blackout dates, what I mean is there's no blackout dates based on points versus cash. Now, a hotel can still enforce a mandatory minimum stay. Some of the resorts I saw require a 2-night minimum stay. There might be some out there that require a 3-night minimum stay. And they can black out rooms overall. So like if for some reason they're holding rooms for an event or a wedding or something, they might black out rooms, but they're either blacking out points and cash or not at all. There's no specific points only blackouts, at least that I saw. If you have a different data point, let me know. I also did a quick AI search who verified there's no blackout dates in that sense. The math makes this compelling. The reasonable redemption value for Wyndham points, according to Frequent Miler, is 0.67. So if you're thinking of like a 1-to-2 transfer, 50,000 Wells Fargo points can become 100,000 Wyndham points, worth roughly $670 in stays. That comes out to 1.34 cents per point. That's a clear win over a cash redemption for almost every card. Now, obviously, someone's going to say, but Doug, you can get way better than 1.34 with other transfer partners. And yes, that's true. But like, if the alternative is cash out your Wells Fargo points or just pay cash from your family budget or use Wells Fargo points, mathematically, you're coming out ahead by using Wells Fargo points based on the Frequent Miler average. And I'm going to point out today, I think you can do a lot better than that. I'll pause there for a second, catch up on comments. Ian clarifies that Chicago seminars are weekend of October 16th this year. That's always right around the time I take a fall rip trip, so we'll have to see. FLX wants to know, why do I say 5, 4, 3 instead of something like 3, 2, 1? I did a lot of amateur video production work back in college. And the idea is you always want to start filming before you need to so that there's an editor transition, you don't miss it. So when I'm recording standalone videos, I say 5, 4, 3, and then in my head count 2, 1 without saying it out loud to allow that cushion for editing purposes. 5, 4, 3. Today I'm going to talk about Wyndham rewards, something like that, if you're wondering. Now, obviously, I kind of cut out the 2, 1 when I'm doing my live streams because everybody's staring at me. Yuri G says, I think Wyndham's the largest hotel chain. It's larger than Marriott. I think that's right. And mentioned that Hotel Hojo, Howard Johnson, at Barranquilla was not bad at all. Also has all-inclusive hotels. I've been to the one at Playa del Carmen. Great. Those are good examples. By the way, we're dropping in attendance just a little, so click the thumbs up button if you've not yet done so, or drop a comment on Wyndham, tax returns, tomatoes. Just say your favorite obscure fruit, anything. Just help drive that algorithm. You can do that after the fact too, if you're watching this after the recording is no longer live. All right. Resuming the main event in 5. 5, 4, 3. So I'm going to look for some sweet spot properties here. And here's what you might want to look for in a sweet spot property also, if you're looking for Wyndhams. The highest value targets are places where the cash price is high, but the point cost is fixed. Well, the point cost is always fixed. So basically, when demand goes up, but the point price stays the same, that's where you're going to get the best value. And that's the best use of Hilton points. Specifically, properties in expensive destinations, Clearwater Beach, Florida, Orlando, Disney area, New York City, Hawaii, or ski resorts. In fact, that picture in the bottom right is a Wyndham property. It's a ski resort that we'll get to a little bit later. So if you go there in like February or December when ski season is kind of in full swing, it's going to be expensive, but the price point will never go more than 30,000 points per night. Hopefully they don't devalue that. You know what I mean? Also, properties on high demand dates. So things like foliage trips, like, you know, maybe you're going to upstate New York or New Hampshire, right when you have peak foliage, the hotels are going to be more expensive. So that would be a good date to do it. Sporting events like college football, NFL games, baseball games, that kind of stuff. Concerts, like, you know, if, I don't know, Burt Kampfert or Ray Conniff is coming to Des Moines, on that date, hotels are probably going to be higher, so that'd be a good time to do it. Or just peak seasons, for example, spring break in Puerto Rico or Florida, where it's, you know, a week or 2 weeks or a month where it's really expensive. Or like, you know, maybe Greece or Spain or the Mediterranean in kind of that late spring before it gets boiling hot, like late April into May, that kind of time of year. High demand dates. Here's a disclaimer I need to mention. This is from Award Wallet. What about resort fees or amenity fees? Wyndham's official policy states that destination or resort fees Wyndham's official policy states that destination and resort fees should be waived on award stays with Wyndham Rewards. A free night includes room rate, including local taxes and resort/facility fees. Unfortunately, not all properties are aware of this. If you do get charged a resort fee, you can either show Wyndham's terms to the agent, ask them to have it waived, or contact Wyndham customer service directly. This does not apply to Caesars properties. So if you book a Caesars, that doesn't apply. I only used Wyndham properties for this example. I do have one mention of a Caesar trick. But yeah, just be aware. I've read some reviews online where it's like 70, 80, 90% people say like, yeah, I didn't pay resort fees. But there'll be this one guy that's like, I booked on all points and they charged me a $27 a night resort fee. And I'm so mad, you know, and then half those people said I called customer service and got it waived, and half people said they couldn't. So if I was booking a resort that had destination fees or something like that, between the time I make the booking and when I show up, I would call them just to make sure they are going to honor that. Because if that's going to be an issue, I'd rather know about it in advance. Don Kim likes artichokes in the spring. Not a bad choice. Yuri says, Wyndham saved me a few times in case of emergency. They always had availability right away. Yeah, I do have one example of like an emergency type stay. So thanks for bringing that up, Yuri. And in fact, that time I stayed at a Days Inn, it was the same thing. I booked it on points on very, very short notice. I don't remember if it was 15 or 30, but it was more than 1 cent per point. All right, back to the main event here. 5, 4, 3. Math time. So I'm going to do the numbers here, as you knew I would. So we've got some examples here. I'm going to use all 2 queen bedroom examples unless indicated otherwise. And these are cherry picked. So like in the past, like when I did IHG, when I did City, I was like, this is moderately cherry picked. It's only cherry picked based on the location. It's not cherry picked based on anything else. This is not the case. Because Wyndham has the fixed award choice, I knew going into it the best properties would be the ones that are those things, like I said, destinations at certain times a year, ski resorts, beach condos, certain dates, sporting events, concerts, those kind of things. So we're cherry picking with only 4 out of 5 stars on Google reviews. I don't mean a 4-star hotel or 5-star review, but if you look at Google reviews, it has to average at least 4 out of 5 stars. And then I'm cherry picking based on dates mostly. Now, in some cases, if I saw like in the whole summer, like there's this one weekend that was like super obscurely high. Generally, I didn't pick that one. I would pick something on the higher side. So yes, it's elevated, but it's not just like a super fluke. Although there's nothing wrong with getting a super fluke. I will have 10 examples here. Example number 1, the Wyndham Grand Clearwater Beach. This earns 4.5 stars on Google reviews with over 4,000 reviews. So it seems pretty reliable. Anytime you see a number on this screen with the Google reviews, just ignore it. That's not necessarily the price I'm paying because I searched on the Wyndham website to compare it to what you would have got as a Wyndham member, because I figure everybody can get the generic member rate. All you have to do is sign up for it. You sign up. And if you wonder where it is, there's a map of Florida. It's right there on the west coast, the Gulf Coast of Florida, near St. Petersburg, Tampa, right there, right on the ocean. You can look out and see ocean. Hey, 2-queen room in the picture, 2-queen room in the picture. So yeah, this would be 30,000 points per night. I'm going to do one night. This is August 7th and 8th. 30,000 Wyndham points. And you got to divide that by 2 because it'll transfer 1 to 2 to Wells Fargo. So I'm only spending 15,000. Excuse me. 30,000 Wyndham points. Divide that by 2 to get 15,000 Wells Fargo points. And the cash rate for this one night would have been $524. So when you do the math on the Wells Fargo side, that comes out to 3.49 cents per point. Hey, that's pretty stinking solid. Not bad. Looks like a nice place. Number 2, the Club Wyndham in Park City, Utah, earning 4.6 stars out of 5 on Google reviews. This is the one you saw earlier. That's a ski resort, although you don't have to go there during ski season. That's when I looked it up. So just a picture there to show you that skiing is a popular thing in this area. Even a little bit of snow on the ground and the hot tub right there. That looks really nice, using the hot tub when it's cold outside. 30,000 points. This was a 1-bedroom standard suite. I think it's a suite in the sense of like there's a separate sitting area. I don't think it has a whole separate room. This one didn't have any 2-queen bed offerings. So I went with the 1-bedroom king bed standard suite. This is December 18th to 20th. This is 2 nights. And that would be 60,000 Wyndham points because it would have been 30,000 points per night, obviously. So you got to divide that by 2 to get your Wells Fargo points. We're back to 30,000 on the Wells Fargo side. And the cash rate would have been $969. So that comes out to 3.23 cents per point on the Wells Fargo side. Again, not too shabby. Way better than just pay cash. I'll pause for a moment here and catch up on comments. Well, there's not a whole lot on comments. Yuri says, I actually booked Wyndham's on a road trip just before checking in. Yeah, you can do that. Basically, pull into the parking lot, book it on your app, and walk in the door. Mike Newland asked this, do you think the average person actually looks at that 4 to 5 stars thing before booking the average person? I don't think so. I think most people look at location and price. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. However, we're not average people. We should be looking. I looked at this even before I got into points and miles, and I always kind of thought like 4.2. That's sort of, I feel a whole lot more comfortable if it's right there. In some cases, if I'm desperate, I might settle for like a 3.8. Good question, though. No, I don't think the average person does. I think the average person doesn't read the reviews, gets mad, and then leaves a terrible review when they stayed at a place that was like 2.1 stars. Background Balloon says, I finally made it to someone's live this week. Way to go. Good to have you on board, Background Balloon. Thanks for being here. Everybody else, click thumbs up. Because we're down to 67. I think we can get it higher than that. All right, let's resume here in 5. Excuse me. 5, 4, 3. Example number 3, the Mining Exchange. And this is a Wyndham. It's a grand hotel. You can see this picture at the top right. This is in Colorado Springs, Colorado, just south of the Denver area there, right on the edge of like Pikes Peak and some of those mountainous areas. Here is from their actual website. This is a fancy enough hotel that it has one of those websites that's its own. It's not like wyndham.com/mining exchange. It's miningexchangehotel.com. But it is a Wyndham property. It's one of those like, I don't remember what I even called it back at the beginning. I was like, there's this signature series kind of thing. That's what this little logo right here indicates. It's part of their signature series or whatever they call it. I don't remember the name, but one of the top tier fancy ones. Now, this is August 14th through 16th, and I was looking through it, and there was this one date that was like 40% more expensive than all the others. So this one I super cherry-picked. Well, it's because the Camping Rock and Roll Festival called Field of Vision is that weekend, sponsored by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Don't know anything about it, but if you like all these kind of hippie-type bands or whatever they are, that's in Buena Vista, Colorado, which is up in the mountains, just about an hour from the hotel. But apparently that's a very popular thing because prices are way up. We're going to stay in the Mining Club 1 king room. They didn't have any 2 queens available. 2 nights while the festival's going on. The Camping Rock and Roll, Lizard Gizzard, Lizard, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard Festival. August 14th through 16th. This is 60,000 Wyndham points, so this is the maximum, obviously, 60,000 points. Divide that by 2. We're talking 30,000 Wells Fargo points. And the cash rate would have been, for these 2 nights, $1,171, or you could use 30,000 Wells Fargo points. That comes out to 3.9 cents per point. Cents per point aside, I mean, if the options are 30,000 Wells Fargo points or over $1,000, I'm using my Wells Fargo points. I know Rewards Master might disagree with me, but this is one where I'm using my Wells Fargo points. Definitely. But hey, you use your points however you want. It doesn't really bother me. That was kind of cool to find this one. I think that was number 4. So this will be number 5. The Kona Coast Resort in Hawaii. This one's on the Big Island of Hawaii, right there on the west side of the Big Island. Right about there, just north of Captain Cook. 4.4 stars out of 5. And for this one, we're looking at 30,000 points per night. We're going to do 2 nights. This is the 1-bedroom Villa Naya. I think it's kind of like I don't know. It might have 2 different wings. There's the Villa Naya wing and the Villa Jin wing or something like that. So I'm not really sure what that means, but it's a 1-bedroom. They didn't have any two queens available. 30,000 points per night comes to 60,000 Wyndham points for the 2 nights we're staying. Divide that by 2. You're talking 30,000 Wells Fargo points. The cash rate would have been $687, but that is 2.29 cents per point. So not quite as exciting as the last few we've seen. Not quite as exciting as the Lizard Gizzard Wizard Queen or whatever it was, but still pretty solid. You're over 2 cents per point. That competes with a lot of Hyatts that people tend to drool over. Number 6, the Wyndham Grand Rio Mar Rainforest Beach and Golf Resort. This one is in Puerto Rico, down there hanging out with Cesar Joel. A lot of us were here in San Juan when last Veterans Day weekend. In fact, myself, Stan the Credit Frog, and Chad Pennycuff hopped in my rental car and drove over here to Las Crobas, the far northeastern peninsula area. And we probably drove within about 5 or 6 miles of this resort without even knowing it. There's San Juan. There's the resort, kind of on the eastern end of the island, but close to the national forest there. This one, 30,000 points per night. This one does have a 2-queen room. They call it a renovated rainforest room. Here's a stock photo I found online of what Puerto Rico looks like, so you can expect it to look exactly like that if you end up going there. 2 nights. We're going to be staying March 12th through 14th. And I kind of hinted at this earlier, but I think kind of that spring break, like March into April season, is pretty peak, one of the most expensive times in Puerto Rico. Cesar, if you're on board, let me know if that's accurate or not, or anybody else who has knowledge of it. 60,000 Wyndham points because it's 2 nights, 30,000 each. Divide that by 2. We're back down to 30,000 on the Wells Fargo side. This would have been $1,896. Whoa. But instead, you're only paying 30,000 Wells points. That's 6.32 cents per point. So now we're up in that kind of like first class, business class airline redemption range. So you can get some pretty sick stuff with these. Cherry picked, admittedly, but 6 cents per point. More importantly, if my wife came to me and said, hey, I really want to go to Puerto Rico, well, would you rather spend $1,800 or 30,000 points? I'd rather spend 30,000 points for those 2 nights. Now, here's something interesting. This is one where you would absolutely want to make sure that they're not going to charge you a resort fee, because you can see here 24% resort fee, 2 different days, fees up the wazoo, taxes up the wazoo. In fact, the price without taxes and fees is like $1,300, $500 in taxes and fees. Just getting out of those alone makes it worthwhile. Holy cow. All right, I'll pause for some comments here. A-tier says, I've always looked at star ratings, at least a few reviews, long before I got into points and miles. Now I watch YouTube reviews also. Yeah, I feel that way too. Sleepy Rod says, sorry I had to step away. What's the moral of the story here? Is it a game changer? Well, I'm going to save my moral of the story and conclusions towards the end here. I think we just did number 6. I'll be ready for number 7 yet. If I'm off by 1, I apologize. No Way Hefe says, Puerto Rico is overpriced, but that's a good value for what it is. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when I was doing research on this, one of the themes that popped up both on Google and AI said something like, the great thing about Puerto Rico is if you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, you don't have to have a passport to go there. I do think there are a lot of people that are like, oh, getting a passport sounds super complicated, but I want to go to the Caribbean. I'll go to Puerto Rico. I actually have a former coworker who did that. He and his wife, I don't remember if it was their honeymoon or just like their 1 or 2 year anniversary trip, went to Puerto Rico, and he specifically chose Puerto Rico so he didn't have to mess with getting a passport. So yeah, I do think that's probably part of the reason it's overpriced. I wonder if you went to like Martinique or Aruba, Jamaica, Ooh, I Want to Take You, Bermuda, Bahama, Come On Pretty Mama, any of those would be a little less expensive. No Way says, Puerto Rico also has Uber, which is a big plus for me. You know what else is a big plus? The flag of Switzerland. Sorry. Yeah, I took Uber a few times there. Do most Caribbean islands not have Uber and Lyft? That's interesting to think about. Thanks for that input, No Way Hefe. I appreciate it. That's helpful context. All right, resuming. 5, 4, 3. Number 7, I think it's 7. The Zeus Wyndham, Grand Athens. Now we're going to go overseas, not just across the Gulf. We're going way across the seas. We're going to Athens, Greece. 4.3 stars out of 5. And if you look at the map here, here's the hotel right there. Then there's this little touristy place called the Acropolis right there. It's within walking distance. It would take, 22, 25 minutes to walk there. But it is walking distance or a very short Uber ride to get to the Acropolis. So that's a very destination type location. So let's see what this comes out to in terms of the math. 30,000 points per night. You can see in the picture, they've got a rooftop pool. Rooftop pools are fancy. Actually, the one time I had a rooftop pool, it was cold and I didn't really like it. But sitting on the rooftop and looking out, that's pretty cool, even if the swimming wasn't. It would just depend on the weather and a variety of other factors. So we're going to stay 2 nights between May 29th and 31st. And there's technically not a 2-queen room. It's a 2-twin bedroom. You know, over in Europe, everybody's smaller, apparently. So 2 queens is almost laughable that would even exist. But you do have the twin bed, so good enough. I don't mind sleeping on a twin bed. It doesn't bother me. 60,000 Wyndham points total. Divide that by 2. We're back down to 30,000 Wells Fargo points. You probably are noticing most of these are the 30,000 varieties. 664 euro. What's a euro? I have no idea. Don't worry. I did the math for you. That's $781 American, and that comes out to 2.6 cents per point on the Wells Fargo side. Not as good as some of the others, but still pretty good. So far, we've looked at mostly resort, destination, kind of upscale type places. Those are great for Dr. Doug. Let's get some properties that Mr. Roz would be happy with. So first up, the Days Inn by Wyndham, Indio, California. I stumbled across this one actually by accident. I was looking at a place called the La Quinta resort in Palm Springs or Palm Desert, California. And I thought, oh, La Quinta's, that's part of Wyndham. Well, then I realized there's also a town called La Quinta right there. And this was a Hilton property. It's like, oh, can't do that. But just by chance, as I was scrolling through my app, I saw this Days Inn, and it was super expensive. And I'm like, why is it super expensive today? 4.0 stars out of 5. Boy, that's borderline. But I did a Google search. Does anybody else know why today specifically, actually last night going into today, would be super expensive? I'll give you a couple seconds. Nope, that's okay. I'll give it away. Coachella weekend number 2 for 2026 takes place from Friday, April 17th to Sunday, April 19th, 2026. This is in Indio, California, and features headliners such as Sabrina Carpenter, Justin Bieber, and Karol G, whoever Karol G is. I have no idea. I'm not really into the modern music scene so much, although I do like rap when I do it. But yeah, apparently this is just to the west of the Los Angeles metro, which would be like over here. Here's Palm Springs, so just sort of on the other side of the mountains. And then just down the road is Indio, where both this Days Inn and Coachella are. And I was looking this up last night, Friday, April 17th. So 15,000 points. Honda, man, I'd love to go to a music festival. Honda. April 17th into 18th. I know that's in the past. That was yesterday, but I looked this up last night. Let's say you did what Yuri mentioned earlier, and you're just like driving through. It's like, man, I got to go to Coachella. I'm going to stay tonight. It was still available at like 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time last night for 15,000 Wyndham points. Divide that by 2. It would only take 7,500 Wells Fargo points. You could do it right there on your app as you're pulling in the parking lot. Cash rate, $567 for one night at a Days Inn. Do the math, 7.56 cents per point. That's crazy. So in my opinion, this is sort of like the best use of Wyndham's is when there's like a super popular event or last minute, like a college football weekend in Columbus, Ohio, or something like that. If you can find one, you can really clean up. I wonder how angry these hotels get that they have to accept points bookings. 7,500 points, they're probably getting reimbursed like $60 when they could make 567. Not, they'd take a little haircut, some of those taxes and stuff. All the prices I'm giving are after taxes and any applicable fees. Catching up on comments now. Let's see. Yuri mentions you pay less taxes for a flight if you're using points. Good point. Juan Garcia wonders if I'm going to go down to Kokomo. Well, we'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. Hey, that's what Don Kim said. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we want to go. Way down to Kokomo. Not to be confused with Kokomo, Indiana. Yuri mentions Puerto Rico also has Lyft, which was pretty cheap. Yeah, Yuri and I shared a ride share once. I don't remember if it was Lyft or Uber. But yeah, it wasn't very expensive. Nick says, I'm dropping by to drop a like and a comment. I'll have to watch the replay later. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Let's see. Don Kim says that area around Coachella is FN good for golf. Good to know. I didn't realize there's an actual town called Coachella. I thought it was out in the middle of the desert, but maybe I'm thinking of Burning Man or something. It's this year at the Indo Racket Club or something like that. It looks like it's got a bunch of tennis courts. So I don't know if they set up around the tennis courts. Has anybody been to Coachella? What is it? I don't know. I'm a Midwest dad who likes presidents' graves. New Again says, besides tourism, Palm Springs is an enclave for rich people. Awesome. I have a sister-in-law who lives just on the other side of the mountains, I think near San Bernardino. So I've occasionally thought if we ever go visit her, she's visited us several times, we might fly into Palm Springs. There has been off and on an Allegiant flight directly from Des Moines to Palm Springs. Yuri confirms we did ride in a Lyft. Good to know. Sleepy Rod says to earn 7,500 Wells Fargo points, though, you would have to spend this much divided by 4 on a Forex category, $1,875, since not many point earning opportunities outside of card multipliers. True. Sign-up bonuses are a weakness for Wells Fargo, so I realize you have to get the Wells Fargo points first, but maybe you have some strategery. Sometimes Wells Fargo has in-store offers on groceries and those kind of things. Don Kibb says that Palm Spring is good for golf into the spring. No Way Hefe says IHG and Wyndham are very underrated. All these people obsessed with Hyatt. You make memories, you don't buy them. I gotcha. I use whatever works out. If it's a Hyatt, it's a Hyatt. If it's a Wyndham, it's a Wyndham. If it's an IHG, it's an IHG. Vincent says Lyft has been cheaper than Uber in my experience, and you can earn Chase and Built points with Lyft rides too. Yeah, same for me. I actually had a Uber driver / Lyft driver tell me why they're cheaper. And this is a little scary, but he said Lyft has lower standards. They'll hire anyone. Like you can come here from a foreign country, barely speak English, get your driver's license 3 days ago and sign up for Lyft. Whereas with Uber, they have a more stringent background check process. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but that's what he told me. New Again says, shout out to San Bernardino. I mostly miss SoCal. Coachella is not far from Palm Springs, says Vincent. And Yuri says, I stay at IHG pretty often, probably more than Hyatt. Sleepy Rod said, my conspiracy, if you get Uber One from an Amex Platinum, I think Uber inflates the price. I think Frequent Miler went into that conspiracy speculation once too. Juan says Coachella is a music festival, similar to Lollapalooza in Chicago. Is Lollapalooza still a thing? Haven't heard that since the 90s. Nemo Los Angeles says lower standards. That's crazy. Do you think it's wrong? I'm just going off what one random guy told me. I don't know if it's true or not. QC Man donates 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I appreciate it. Warren Lance is on board. Goes back to that very first property we talked about. The Wyndham Grand in Clearwater is my go-to for beach stays. It's a newer property. The resort fee is waived. 2 beach chairs and umbrella included. That's nice. Maybe Mrs. and I need to go there. Can upgrade to a cabana for $10 for the day charged to the room. Oh, instead of 2 beach chairs and umbrella, upgrade to a cabana for $10 charged to the room. And then once you get there for your incidentals, you can put it on the Aeroplan card and boom, pay yourself back. David Williams says, San Bernardino, that's not a place to be missed. That city is terrible. She doesn't actually live in San Bernardino. She's up in like the foothills of the mountains. Moreno Valley, I think, is actually the nearest town. I misspoke when I said San Bernardino. Nemo says, I wasn't saying it was wrong. If the standards are lower, that's crazy. Have you ever seen that old Saturday Night Live skit called Brian Fellow's Safari Planet? It's Tracy Morgan playing like a 14-year-old boy who's doing the show about animals. He's like, an elephant has a long trunk. That's crazy. Look it up if you haven't. Brian Fellow's Safari Planet. No Way Hefe says Lyft has that World Elite MasterCard credit. I compare both of them, but I got that Amex Gold credit that I saved for trips. Awesome. Okay, we're back up over 70 people. Thank you. Click thumbs up if you haven't yet done so, and I will resume here in just a moment. Whoop, got to click the correct buttons. 50, 40, 30. Next up, now we're getting real into everyman territory. The Baymont by Wyndham in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, on the river. 4.2 stars out of 5. I don't normally think as Baymont's is very highly rated because there's one here in Des Moines that I drive by once a week that is not very good. But this one's pretty good. If you're wondering where Gatlinburg, Tennessee is, look kind of right there on the border between Tennessee and North Carolina. It's kind of between like Asheville, North Carolina, and around the bend from Chattanooga. Not too far from Rocky Top. 2 men done go up on Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. So yeah, you can stay there. And why would you want to go to Gatlinburg? Well, did you know Smoky Mountains National Forest or National Park is the most visited national park in the United States? I saw a statistic that was something like, don't quote me on this, like 600,000 or 800,000 people drive there, not counting those who fly, just those who drive there every year. So yeah, I did look it up on the map. You can get to, Smoky Mountain National Park's kind of big. There's different parts, but you can get to like certain parts of it in a half hour, certain parts of it in an hour. Obviously, if you have to park and hike longer. This looks kind of cool. Look how retro that is. The whole first floor is on stilts except for the office. And then the second, third, and fourth story are the actual rooms. This looks like something straight out of Cars. They call it on the river because behind it, there's this narrow river, kind of a shallow river. And if you have a balcony room on the river side, you can just look right out. Maybe all the rooms go through. I'm not really sure. Then there's just a neighborhood on the other side. So it looks kind of cool. Here's a picture from the neighborhood side, and I just thought it was funny on Google Street View that this guy has a porta potty in his front yard. But yeah, there it is from the neighborhood side. We're going to get the 2-queen room for 15,000 points per night. Another reason why people like to go down to that part of Tennessee is because of the foliage. If you're a foliage looker like I am, all sorts of reds and golds and crimson colors at certain time of year. Speaking of certain time of year, that's when we're going. October 17th through 18th, just one night. 15,000 Wyndham points, divide that by 2. That's 7,500 Wells Fargo points. And for a $418 rack rate for members, instead, you're going to get 5.57 cents per point. Very cromulent. I would do it. I would stay there. Our penultimate example, the Baymont by Wyndham Branson Thousand Hills, 4.9 stars out of 5. Did I just say 4.9? How? How is this possible? Like, is this an error? I double checked it. No, everybody's giving them 5 stars. I didn't go into a lot of detail, but look at the pictures. We got a swimming pool. It's not exactly the resort in Puerto Rico. It's just a little rectangle, but looks okay. The rooms look super basic. They must keep them so clean and have like the best breakfast and the best customer service in the world. Do you know how hard it is to get 4.9 stars? There are truckloads of 5-star hotels who don't have 4.9 on Google. So that's the main reason I picked this one, just because their rating was so insanely high. This must be kind of like the Hampton Inn in Wheeling, West Virginia, that's won like the best Hampton Inn award 5 out of the last 7 years, where I will be in less than a week. But yeah, let's see what it would be like if we want to go to Branson. I heard a joke on Simpsons once that said, how do you describe Branson? They took Nick at Night and made it a town. Here's a picture of me, my son, and my brother-in-law at Silver Dollar City when we had a family reunion there back in 2023. And yes, we were forced to wear matching shirts, unfortunately. Getting shakes. 15,000 points per night for this perfectly cromulent Baymont Inn. Let's do August 14th through 15th, kind of your last chance to go to the amusement park or do Branson. Maybe you want to see Yakov Smirnoff. I love this country. 15,000 Wyndham points. Oh, shoot. What did I do? 15,000 Wyndham points. Divide that by 2. You got 7,500 Wells Fargo points. It would have been $184. That comes out to 2.45 cents per point. So not amazing cents per point, but man, for that 4.9 stars, I would stay there. I would. In Russia, Wyndham stay at you. And then our final example, this is sort of a mix between the resort and kind of the everyman example. So I think this is a place where both Mr. Roz and Dr. Dude could be totally happy staying. This is the Club Wyndham in Nashville, Tennessee. 4.2 stars out of 5. Not nearly as good as that random Baymont in Branson, apparently. But still perfectly cromulent. And if you look at the map here, I didn't know a lot about Nashville geography till I looked this up. So downtown Nashville's here. You got to go up the Cumberland River a ways around the corner to get to where this Club Wyndham Nashville is located. And I was like, why is it located up there? That seems really obscure. Well, here's the airport. There's the Wyndham. There's the city center. So look at this inset map over here. Here's where the Wyndham is located. And right there is the Grand Ole Opry. And then we also have the Opryland Resort Convention Center, Fiddler's Inn, Nashville. Anybody familiar with Nashville? It's almost like there's a whole Grand Ole Opry complex, just all these businesses right next to each other. So if you want to stay within walking distance of the Grand Ole Opry, maybe you want to stay here. Go listen to some country music, some, I don't know, Merle. Not Merle Wilhite. What's the famous country musician named Merle? Hagler? No. Maybe. Slipped my mind. He's dead now. We're going to stay at this particular room, which costs 15,000 points per night, from July 12th through 15th. This is the 1-bedroom condo. This is sort of like more of a vacation rental feel. It did have a 2-night minimum, and I chose 3 nights just to get a better spread of the points because 1 night was on the cheaper side, 1 was on the more expensive side. So by doing 3, I averaged out to a more reasonable price. But you can see it is an actual 1-bedroom suite with a closing door that leads into the room. If you're a parent, that's super handy. And then you've got kind of like a living room, you've got your own balcony or patio out here. Middle of the summer, that's probably why it's more on the more pricey side. 45,000 Wyndham points because it's 15,000 points per night for 3 nights. Divide that by 2, and that's 22,500 Wells Fargo points. Remember, Wells Fargo is the only major transfer partner that lets you transfer just 1 point. So you could actually transfer 22,500. It doesn't have to be 1,000 points and have a few wasted. The rack rate would have been just over $1,000, $1,049, and that comes out to 4.66 cents per point. I would do this one too. This is also a great little option. Now, one thing I noticed in the comments, both just searching online and looking at Google, I used AI Claude to help me identify the properties, and he said something like, fair warning, while most reviews are good, there are a few people that give bad reviews because they were forced to go to a timeshare presentation, and they either didn't expect that, or it was way longer than they were promised. Like we were promised a 2-hour maximum, and we were there for 4.5 hours or something like that. Community, help me out here. My understanding is those people probably were all booking through like a package where they call you on the phone like, hey, guess what? You've won a free trip. All you have to do is go to Nashville for 3 nights and listen to a timeshare presentation, and it's only $30 a night or something like that. If you actually book directly with Wyndham on their app, just like you're booking a normal property in cash or points, I don't think you have to do the timeshare presentation. Back in 2020, we stayed at a place that was a Wyndham property kind of like this in Springfield Lakes, Arkansas. It was one of those like, we wanted to go to a place where there's a lot of space because it was in the height of COVID. And there were some comments on there about timeshare presentations, but we never had to do a timeshare presentation, virtual or in person, because we just booked using, like just a direct regular booking. It wasn't part of like a vacation package. So let me know if you think my speculation on that is correct. All right, now this is not included in the averages I'm going to do, but this is a fun comment that I found online from the guy who looks like the A&W Bear. This was on, I think, Doctor of Credit, Cow Watch. Thanks for the comment. A good deal is for Caesars transfers at 15,000 Wyndham points become, I said that wrong. 15,000 Wells Fargo points becomes 30,000 Wyndham points, which is worth $300 in Caesars rewards credits, which could be used as a resort credit or at the sports book. The limit is 30K, which makes it a small time play. But basically, if you're debating cashing out or not cashing out, if you're a gambler and want to go to a Caesars resort and do the sports book, hey, you just doubled your points. You got 2 cents per point to gamble. Degenerate. And then the last very niche use case is, I've talked about before, cottages.com. So Wyndham used to let you transfer your points to Vacasa and use them there. Not really transfer, but use them for Vacasa, which is like vacation rentals, which sometimes ended up being tremendous value. Well, I wonder if in anticipation of this move with Wells Fargo 1-2 is part of the reason they dropped Vacasa. Or maybe it's Vacasa's new ownership. Who knows? Cottages.com is basically just the British equivalent of Vacasa, but it's a different ownership group. So last I checked, which was like a week ago, you still had this option in the United Kingdom. So we're talking England proper, Wales, Scotland, hypothetically Northern Ireland, but I think there's only like 3 properties in Northern Ireland. And there's even like 2 on the Isle of Man, which is between Ireland and the United Kingdom. You can stay in these cottages that are mostly independently owned, but they kind of market it through cottages.com, and you can use your Wyndham points there. It's 15,000 points per bedroom per night. If you have Wyndham credit card, it knocks it down to 13,500. So you get these point discounts. By the way, I haven't been taking that into consideration at all. So every single points price I gave you is actually 10% cheaper if you have a Wyndham credit card. So yeah, I should have been giving them even more credit. That makes this even more valuable. But when I stayed at the barn at Geshi Nui with cottages.com last summer, it was 1.72 cents per point on the Wyndham point side. So if I had transferred that over from Wells Fargo, it would be 3.44 cents per point. So a very good use. I would do that again, whether I'm Dr. Dug or Mr. Roz, either way. All right, now I'm going to get to the synopsis, but I'll catch up on comments before I do that. Yuri says Gatlinburg is like a 40-minute drive for me. Awesome. Maybe we'll have a miniature meetup there sometime. Warren talked about the Clearwater property, and No Way said thanks for the tip. Matt says, isn't Gatlinburg near Pigeon Forge and Dollywood? I believe so. Don't quote me on that. New Again says, SoCal's more than just San Bernardino, but calling that city terrible is quite a lark. No Way confirms to Matt that it is near both of those things. Sleepy Rod, said it before it popped into my head. You also get a 10% discount on Wyndham if you have a Wyndham credit card. So all of these rates are actually better than what I said. Mert says it's not often that Kokomo, Indiana gets a shout out. That's my hometown. Awesome. Let's see. Mike Newland says that Club Wyndham is probably a timeshare property, the one in Nashville. Yes, but I don't think if you're booking it directly through Hilton, if you're booking it directly through Wyndham as though you're booking a hotel, I don't think you have to do the timeshare. There's nothing in the app that said you do. Let me know if you guys know better. Merle Haggard, yeah, I think that is right. Is he the one who sang something like, you're walking on the fighting side of me? Yep. Okay. Lots of people saying hi to each other. This is Chris feeds out of the room by dropping W. No Way says Dollywood just built a super nice new hotel called Dream More. I'm hoping to stay there the next year or two. Awesome. People saying hi to each other. QC Man says, I wonder what the hit rate is on people buying those timeshares after the high pressure sales pitch. Well, it's got to be more than 0 or they wouldn't do it. Yuri says Pigeon Forge is near Gatlinburg, also a pretty interesting town, like a miniature Las Vegas, but without casinos. You can drive casino in 1 hour in North Carolina. They have Harrah's. Juan says Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg are like 10 minutes from each other. I was in Pigeon Forge way back when I was in college. I was in a singing group for my college, like Christian music. And we would go to churches, and we had a day off, and we went through one of those places, and we had a big van, like a conversion van, pulling a trailer. And we started driving down a road called Primitive Road. And after we got so far on the road that you couldn't turn around and come back, it said something like, vehicles with trailers not recommended for this road. And it was pretty harrowing. Our brakes were almost glowing by the time we were done on that road. All right, back to the main event. I'll do my conclusions. 5, 4, 3. Okay, so let's wrap it up with a few conclusions here. We've got our averages. So the worst property that we went over was the one in Kona, Hawaii. That's kind of ironic. I sure didn't expect that at a mere 2.29 cents per point. The best was the Days Inn for Coachella there in Indo, California, 7.56 cents per point. Although there was a couple others up in the 5s and 6s. The average was 4.21 cents per point. Now you could think a couple things. One is that's cherry picks. Let's bring it down a little. But again, if you have any of the Wyndham credit cards, it actually brings the average back up a little bit too, because that's an extra 10%. Some people speculated in the comments on Doctor of Credit and Discord and on the videos about it and those kind of things that Wells Fargo might be making a play to take the Wyndham credit card away from Barclays. As long as they keep the earning structure on the business earner card the same with the 8x points on gas stations and the free, I think it's 15,000 points per year, or is it 20 or 30,000? Instead of giving FNCs, just give me some more points, which I'm all about that. I would love that if Wells Fargo took it over. That way I can just get rid of my Barclays login and not even have to worry about it. Obviously, Barclays got rid of their stuff with American, although they may not have had a choice with that. There was some other third party they got rid of recently. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Matt, you still on? Someone will let me know. Barclays was the issuer for either an airline or a hotel that they ditched within the last year to year and a half. So that would be kind of cool if Wells Fargo made a play for their card. So let's think of some conclusions here. Is this worth it? Well, on the whole, I would say yes, with careful cherry picking. Now, in fairness, while doing this, like I said, I had AI helping me out, Claude, who identified popular properties that were, certain times a year, very expensive. It wasn't able to look at the point prices, so I had to do that part. It was a human-robot collaboration. But just running across a lot of things where I would occasionally see like another hotel that was lower rated right next door. Like that Days Inn, just up the road from that, somewhere in the Palm Springs area, was a travel lodge that was rated like 2.7 stars. You have to be really careful because there are a lot of bad hotels. I feel like Choice and Wyndham have the same kind of technically correct but undeserved reputation that they have some really crappy hotels. And that's true. If you pick a random Hyatt Place or a random Hampton Inn versus a random Quality Inn or a random Travel Lodge or Days Inn, or even a Quality Inn, you're going to have way better success with the Hiltons and the Hyatts. But we should be better than that. We shouldn't be picking our hotels at random. We should be cherry picking. So yes, with careful cherry picking, this is worth it. The nice thing is you don't have to prospectively move it over there. You just wait until you find the right move, then transfer over your Wells Fargo points. It's especially worth it for resorts, popular destination, and busy dates that seem best. I didn't find a college sporting event, but I have to imagine there's some where, like, if you're going to a popular sporting event, the price is triple what it normally is, but it's still at 15,000 points, something like that. And then it's probably not as good as Choice for road trips. So like if you're just thinking like place to place to place and you want to invest in just one ecosystem, I think you can find more good quality Choice hotels than good quality Wyndham hotels. Like the Wyndham basement seems a little bit worse than the Choice hotel basement, although there's plenty of bad options with both, certainly. But that's just sort of my 2 cents. I do actually see, it's going to take a couple of years, but if things don't change, I'll probably be gradually working my way into both Wyndham and Choice more and more, especially now that I have some points over at Choice. And I still have like 80,000 points on my Wyndham business earner card that I earned through various things before Wells Fargo went away. Before Vacasa went away. I think that's everything. Thank you. That's the main event. I'd love to get your opinion. So let me know in the comment section or in the live stream what you think. All right, back to the live stream only now. Okay. Mike Newland says, the Days Inn, what was the normal cash price of that location outside of an event type day? I didn't look. I'm sorry. I'm guessing it's only $100 or $200. Mike wants to know if you can transfer Wyndham points to an airline. I'm not sure if they have like a 1-to-3 or 3-to-1 type thing, similar to what like Marriott has. No Way says Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg are very underrated. It's a great vacation area for families, lots of kids activities, and nice summer weather. Hey, that's good to know. Matt says Barclays lost Choice to Wells. Thanks, Matt. I knew I was forgetting one. I don't know why I was forgetting it. QC Man asks, was Hawaiian with Barclays? Then it wouldn't have been a Choice like AA. They definitely didn't want to lose that card. Barclays ditched the AA cards. Again, whether or not they had a choice, I don't know. Hawaiian is still with Barclays. It's awkward. New Again says, no way. Please stop taking my Barclays card. Barclays has great customer service. Great. I've never had to call them. McLaughlin said, right before the merger finalized, Barclays extended their agreement with Hawaiian by a decade. That's ironic. David Williams says Motel 6 is better than a lot of Wyndham's worth properties. Is Motel 6 part of Choice, or are they just their own thing? Who owns Motel 6? We're about to find out. It's owned by OYO, Oravel Stays, an India-based technology company. Okay. The Blackstone Group acquired the hotel from Accor back in 2012. So apparently it's kind of on its own now. It's not really a part of any major network. Matt says Barclays also stated they want to move out of travel co-brands. Well, maybe it'll happen then. Jake's Points a Mile says, I'm late to the show today. Has anyone mentioned using Wyndham points for the Kentucky Derby? The Brown Hotel was 2,000 points a night versus 30,000 points. Is that 30,000 Wyndham points? Because if it is, we're talking 2,000 divided by 15,000. A whopping 13.3 cents per point. That would be pretty epic. Matt says, refusing to pay Tom Bodette gives you money to invest in your properties. Did they actually refuse to keep paying him? I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you. Sleepy Rod says, where did Barclays say they want to move out of travel cards? Yuri says, is Motel 6 part of IHG? We just confirmed it's not. The whole Barclays don't want travel cards a while ago, like 2024. Yuri confirms Barclays American cards used to be U.S. Airways cards. Sleepy Rod says, if they extended their Hawaiian Airlines agreement and also beefed up their JetBlue premium card, seems like maybe they're interested in some travel co-brands. Juan from MIA says, Wyndham Grand Bonnet Creek in Orlando is a nice hotel / timeshare rental property. Nobody's chimed in yet and said specifically if you're exempt from the timeshare presentation if you book direct. Oh, I hate timeshares with a passion. My parents, I feel I got scammed into getting one, and it's been a nightmare for both them and myself. All right. Well, thank you to the 63 people who stuck around. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to go to the community tab questions. So every Friday, usually somewhere between like 5 and 8 p.m. Central Time, I will post something on YouTube called a post. And you can either comment on where the picture was taken and or ask a question. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that now. Share my screen. There it is. So there's the picture. It looks like me with a statue of some guy. And lots of people got this one right. Calderd says, I think that's next to FDR Memorial in D.C. Oh, you got the right president, but the wrong location. Dad on a Mission says FDR Presidential Library in Hyde Park. And then told a little story about Henry Walsh, the only vice president from Iowa. Let's see. Nicopoli says FDR Museum in Hyde Park, New York. Mike Newland says the FDR Presidential Library in Hyde Park, New York. Yuri SBU says, I know where that was taken. My fellow New Yorker, Matt Clausen's backyard. Yep. And all of you get 1,000 Dugroz points for your correct guesses. Good job. All right. That is, in fact, the FDR Presidential Gravesite and Museum and Library in Hyde Park, New York. I was there almost exactly a year ago in April of 2025. And yes, I did meet Matt Clausen there. All right, let's go ahead and answer the questions now. See what we got. Sorry, I'm waiting for my phone to load up here. Oh, does your phone ever do this thing where all the comments are white and you have to force it closed and then reopen it? Like white text against a white background? I do not care for that. All right. Here we are. All right. Dad on a Mission points out that FDR's dad bought the sleigh that belonged to Napoleon III for $15. Awesome. Bob's Travel said, I'm clueless. Greetings from the rooftop terrace at a Hyatt house in the Wharf, District of Columbia. I spent the day at Arlington National Cemetery. Thanks, Bob. I mentioned that I stayed at the Wharf at the Intercontinental right next door, and I thought it was literally right next door, but I looked it up. It's not literally right next door. Mike Newland mentioned about how FDR's legacy of resilience mirrors the mindset of Points of Miles traveler. Go ahead and read that comment. It's absolutely epic. Sleepy Rod asked this question. How does one accumulate Wells Fargo points quickly? Well, it's a lot easier said than done. That's for sure. There's not a way to get lots of sign-up bonuses with Wells Fargo. They do certainly have sign-up bonuses. You got the autograph journey, Attune, little tiny bonus. Signify, you can get one Signify business card per person, no matter how many brochures they send you. My wife and I each got one of those. So there's a way to get them. There is sort of like an informal 1 in 18 rule with Wells Fargo, but Luke from Luke's Points a Mile says that's absolute fiction. You can get more than that. They have some different product change rules. Like I think you can product change between autograph and autograph journey pretty easily. But I've had people say like they won't let you product change from an autograph to an Attune or something like that. So it is a little hard to earn lots of Wells Fargo points. Your best bet is going to be some sort of strategery or card linked offers or those kind of things. They do have some interesting ones now and then. Now they used to have ones that are just amazing where it was like 10 points per dollar on grocery stores, limit $200, but there was no limit to the number of purchases. So you could grab a gift card and go to the cash register. Say, I'd like to buy this gift card, but please ring it up as 3 separate transactions. and then use the same credit card 3 times and get 10x on all of them. Those were the days, but they got rid of those kind of offers. They still have decent offers. Like, I had one that was like 5 points on your first $100 in gas or something like that. Well, that's the only question that's like an actual strategy question. So yeah, it's not super easy to accumulate Wells Fargo points, but you do have like 4x on the attune at things like thrift stores, haircuts, barbers. Maybe your wife spends $300 a month at a beauty salon. Mine does not, but I've heard some people do. Get 4x points there. Anybody have any great use cases for using Wells Fargo cards? I mean, the autograph itself is pretty awesome, being a no annual fee card with 3x on dining, gas, travel, transit, and it's no foreign transaction fee. So if it's one of those where you just want to take it overseas, use it for all your buses, subways, parking garages, Viator, Hoover Dam parking lot, those kind of things, you sure can. I'll catch up on comments now. Let's see. Already mentioned that. New Again says, yes, you can transfer Wyndham points United at least 5-1, but they had a great promo last winter. Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Wyndham does have some transfer partners. I think they're all 5-1, so they're not great. But there was one that made it like 2-1 or 2.5-1 or something like that. David Williams says, timeshare is probably the worst thing you could ever buy. I've heard some people say the exception is a Disney one because they have super high retail. But like the one my parents fell for was just your generic go to Branson, have a good time, watch Andy Williams sing. And then they're feeling so good. They're probably in like their late 50s at this point. Bought like a very generic. It was through Wynn, not Wyndham, Wynn, Wynn. You can bank your points, use them in Florida. And they ended up using it like 5 times and their health went downhill and just could not get out of it and paid like thousands of dollars in maintenance fees for something they never used. Matt Clausen says the Hawaiian is more of a business play to reap a decent payout from Bank of America if Bank of America ever wanted to consolidate the card holdings like Citi did. As for beefing up the JetBlue Premier might have been JB, JetBlue. The Hawaiian is more of a business play to reap decent payout from Bank of America. Oh, okay. If they want to consolidate their holdings. Yeah, I gotcha. New Again says, to be frank, I have a lot of criticism of Wyndham, but they likely have best promos out of all the hotels. There you go. One from MIA says you can book Wyndham Grand Bonnet Creek direct and not have to participate in a timeshare presentation. That's good to know. So I'm assuming it's that way at all of the Grand Wyndhams. Some more comments on the future of Barclays cards. Matt says the Hudson Valley is a great backyard. I agree. It looked pretty awesome. The loft in Accra was a really fun Airbnb. What's the churning rule for Wells Fargo subs? I don't know. Does anybody know? Anybody help me out? New Again says, yeah, I can't imagine paying for YouTube. And remember, kids, there's no such thing as ad-free YouTube. Mac Lawson says this is for the churning rule for Wells Fargo subs. 6-month timeouts. No Way Hefe says the best Wells Fargo travel card is 1 key. 2x on anything. You can also use 1 key cash to book Southwest. My wife had the 1 key card, but I felt like I could get okay value. But, I can get 2x on anything lots of other ways, too. So it just didn't really super appeal to me, and we ended up canceling it. Interestingly, they would not let us downgrade to the no annual fee card. So that's another one with Wells Fargo having strange product change rules. Sleepy Rod says you're also limited with foreign transaction fees for some of the Wells Fargo cards and no transfer bonuses ever. So far, we don't know. It might change. Yeah, don't use your attune overseas on transit because you'll get 4 points, but then pay 3% in foreign transaction fees. QC Man says if you pay for YouTube Premium, even the light version, you don't really get ads in your videos. Doesn't get you to avoid the talking ads from Uncle Luke about ED meds, though. Yeah, I do have like conservative ads in my videos because the only way to get any ad revenue is to either turn it on or off. And then you can just pick conservative, moderate, aggressive. So I'm sorry that there are ads, but if you really don't like it, get YouTube Premium. Thank you so much to the 64 people who stayed on board. I'll go through everyone who made a donation now, and then we'll wrap things up. LN330 started us off with a $1.49 super sticker. Vincent Pascal celebrates 20 months of membership. John dropped a $2 obligatory super chat. Nuracan gave $1.99. Latitude Attitude Guy gave 5 Dugroz Reports memberships, just as good as a $15 super chat. Mike Newland came in right behind and gave 20 Dugroz Reports memberships, just as good as a $60 super chat. Tampa Travel gave $1.49. Studio TK gave $1.49. And QC Man gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. So this is your last chance to give something. I'll log off in about a minute here. One last comment here from Matt. You can use the autograph to replace all the travel and transit you lost on the Sapphire Reserve. The Attune is running great for sports and big online bookstores. Thrift Attune. Let me read that again, that second half, to make sure I'm understanding. The Attune is running great for sports. So I assume, like, if you go to a live sporting event, like a college football game or a Major League Baseball game or a hockey game. Is that what you're saying? And big online bookstore. Oh, there's one particular online bookstore that's really well known. Yes, and I've heard that most, not all, transactions on that well-known large online bookstore get 4x on the Attune. Filmo says, I missed the whole thing. Were there golden ponies? Actually, there weren't, but that's weird because we talked about Wells Fargo. The golden ponies card doesn't really help you earn Wells Fargo points because it's 1-off on everything, but if you have it, which you can't unless you got it grandfathered or product change, mixed data points, whether they let you product change, gets you 1.5x on all flights. So for me, I really like corn, but with that plus the whole Wyndham thing we just talked about, the whole choice thing that still exists, Wells Fargo is becoming better and better. In fact, if it wasn't for American Airlines, I'd probably be moving all of my everyday spend over to Wells Fargo. Vincent says Attune is great for massages and haircuts. QC Man likes Filmo. Yuri G likes don't worry about massages and haircuts in Thailand. Okay, so noted. Thank you. Oh, I didn't mention this. Filmo celebrates 29 months of membership. 29, that's almost 3 metric years. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Filmo. Appreciate that. Mike Lewis says, isn't there a Wells Fargo card that codes for 4x on Amazon? That's the one we were just talking about, the Attune, the very large online bookstore. Warren Lance says, not a Wells Fargo setup, but the Wyndham earner card for that 10% coupon. Probably going to set player 2 up with this. There you go. All right, that's it. Thank you to everyone who watched. I appreciate it. On the way out the door, click thumbs up. If you're watching this after the fact and you want to help support the algorithm, put either your favorite comment about paying taxes or your favorite obscure fruit in the comment section. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks for watching.